And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China.
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what? China. All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China.
Russian.
Russia.
Italian.
Italy.
German.
Germany.
Swedish.
Sweden.
Korean.
Korea.
Egyptian.
Egypt.
Nigerian.
Nigeria.
Black.
Exactly. Nothing. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
The lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. They want us to sell our souls to barter profit, like God's property. It's hard to market, so we steady to aim, keep your eyes on target. 'Cause when you got to drive, yeah, they'd rather you park it. But I don't valet, you ain't getting these keys. I'm keeping closed hands, I'm on bended knee. I'm just a reflection, dealing with 8 sections. Art mixed with life, you can feel the convection. Your lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the
Black people can't be anti-Semitic. We are Jew. You understand what I'm saying? We are Jew. So cool out until you do your facts. Until you really do the facts with the fake indoctrination that y'all put into the schools and all that. You know what I'm saying? We're not following y'all rules.
The entire Bible is about black people. Not only was Jesus black, but every character in the Bible seems to be black too. Yeah, Zephaniah and Jeremiah and Jebediah, those all aren't white people names, okay? And Jesus wasn't some tan, partially melanated Middle Eastern person either. I'm talking straight up black dude, okay? Even in the book of Revelation, when you get the vision of Daniel, he's describing someone with feet like burnt brass and white woolly hair, and we've got the deep running water voice with the red eyes, and you guys, he's black. The Jewish people are black people, like Kanye was right.
So we're supposed to we're just being told that anti-Semitism is now criticizing Israel. Anti-Semitism is anything they want it to be. They can't even define it. They admit in this bill that they've passed through the House that there's really truly no actual protection for Jews, but they're just making it up as they go because they want to say, well, but Semites, which we shouldn't even be using that word anymore, because most Jews who practice the religion of Judaism or who are culturally Jewish, even if they don't practice the Jewish religion, but they're culturally Jewish, like many are culturally Christian. Many of us celebrate Christmas, but we're not Christian. That's cultural Christianity. It is what it is, right? They can't define it. They're putting all these rules on us. We shouldn't even allow them to use the term anti-Semitism. It's not real. Most of these Jews are not Semites.
You can convert to Judaism. You can't convert to a blood family. You cannot convert to a race. Judaism is a religion. That's all it is. Judaism is a religion. That's all it is.
Judaism is a religion. That's all it is.
They're not Semites at all. They're not Semites at all.
They're not Semites at all.
In fact, most of them are communists from Russia.
Without getting too semantic, or at the risk of getting too semantic, does it matter that the Jews are not Semites, or does this phrase anti-Semitism just means hatred for the Jewish people? They're Ashkenazi. They're Eastern European Jews.
You know, the DNA tests that they've done on the Israelis that are living over there, they're Eastern European Ashkenazi Jews.
And so when he's saying he's coming to redeem, while he would say, redeem Israel, O God, out of all their troubles. First thing they need to be redeemed at, more dangerous than Hamas, more dangerous than Muslim neighbors, are internal, these, and there's another biblical name, these who say they are Jews and are not.
I was going to ask you. Here's what I would like to say to you, Rabbi, since you're quoting scripture, okay? The one that's relevant to me is, woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness. And if you'd like to dive into a little more scripture, I think what's relevant is Revelation 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. And I'm speaking directly to you, Rabbi Shmuli. Revelation 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie.
Revelation 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie.
And I'm speaking directly to you, Rabbi Shmuli. And I'm speaking directly to you, Rabbi Shmuli.
And I'm speaking directly to you, Rabbi Shmuli.
The fact that you would try to say, I am Jewish, and this is what I believe, and do and say the things that you are doing. People can see and hear evil, and what you are doing right now is an act of evil. The lies that you are telling, not just on me, but also on my family members, are a good example for the world to see what we are referring to when we call something radical Zionism.
I just had a rabbi give me an analogy. He said, look, imagine you left your home and then someone came and occupied it, and then you try to get it back, and then they went to the judge. Have you heard some of these analogies? Maybe you can.
Yeah, that's assuming that, you know, that's taking it into a place which I don't usually go. That's making the assumption that today's Jews are really the descendants of the ancient Hebrews that used to live in that part of the world some 3,000 years ago. That's making the assumption that today's Jews are really the descendants of the ancient Hebrews that used to live in that part of the world some 3,000 years ago.
That's making the assumption that today's Jews are really the descendants of the ancient Hebrews that used to live in that part of the world some 3,000 years ago.
I'm about to show you something extremely controversial. It's even illegal in the state of Israel. Ladies and gentlemen, my DNA. Now, I bet you thought it was going to be a lot crazier than that.
This TikTok caused a storm online, with many debating what his results, which show no trace of being from Palestine or the Middle East, despite being Jewish, mean.
Today, it is prohibited, and you can Google this, to do a DNA test in Israel. Totally forbidden. Wrong. It's illegal. It's a crime. You'll be jailed if you do a DNA test in Israel. Why? Because they know the truth will come out. You come from Poland, you come from Ukraine, you came from Europe, you came from everywhere else. And they were the original Middle Eastern Jews who lived together with the Muslims and the Christians for centuries. For centuries. So what happened to a lot of the Jews?
Black people can't be anti-Semitic. We are Jew. You understand what I'm saying?
You know what you are? You're an ancient Israelite.
Ancient Israelite, that's who we are. That's who we are. So if you give me time, if you give me time, how old are you?
No, we don't have
so many years.
I know. Look at this. This is pages and pages of notes. And I promise we'll give more teaching. But here is my challenge to you.
All right.
I'm hearing some of your traditions. It's like the days of the Bible.
Yes.
Do you want to remain ancient Israelites, or you want to be Jews? Do you want to remain ancient Israelites, or you want to be Jews?
Hitler was, and the Nazis, of course, expanded on Margaret Sanger's approach to eugenics, right? Eugenics was a movement that was born in the United States under hard doctrines of racism, with the intent of eliminating the tribe of Judah in the African-American community in this country, right? To eliminate them. With the intent of eliminating the tribe of Judah, with the intent of eliminating the tribe of Judah
in the African American community in this country, right? To eliminate them.
Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you.
I want to say peace and blessings to everyone. If you can hear me, type 1. I want to make sure you guys can hear me. If you guys can hear me clearly, type 1. Let me make sure my mic is good. Can you guys hear me? If you guys can hear me, type 1. All right, mic sound good. All right, family. I want to say peace and blessings to you guys. I'm going to say Shabbat Shalom, and I hope and pray all is well with you guys. And we're going to do this teaching that I did earlier this week, and I've done this teaching, several times to show you exactly, as the title says, fake outrage, second Exodus. But I really want to deal with this phrase in this concept of second Exodus, because I'm here to tell you it's a lie. And I'm going to be clear when I state my position, right? Because there are a number of brews, starting with the two guys you see up on here. I use that as a representation of a particular ministry out there. I'm not even going to mention their names because I don't even want to, inject that nonsense over here. But, they decided to come at me with this fake outrage because I, based off of the premise of me stating that there's no such thing as a second Exodus, right? So they decided to make a video. And normally when I do teachings like this and, people don't have an answer, I've dealt with this before. They start mocking and cracking jokes, trying to mock my appearance, my tone, my pronunciation of words, the Hebrew. I mean, I've dealt with that a number of times. So I want to say this first. Don't get discouraged. Don't go to their channels and try to defend me. I'm good. There's a reason why I'm still standing. So these are the ones they resort to mockery. And so me stating that the second Exodus is an absolute lie supposedly got people, and I call them Hebrewcrites, in a tizzy, right? So they're behaving like this, right? And I want to use this as I used earlier. This is pretty much the imagery of these guys. Now, these guys going to have their response to me stating that the second Exodus is a lie. And I'm going to say this again. Matter of fact, no, I'll say their names because they said my name. It's a group called twins called Teo Ministry. And they decided to make a video, or they made several videos before, and make posts making up lies. In family, that's Jezebel spirit right there. That's what Jezebel did with Ahaz in terms of wanting to take someone's property that didn't belong to them. So what did Jezebel do? She called to fast, got witnesses, and started trying to make up stuff to slander the person. But I'm here to tell you, family, there's a reason why I have 5 smooth stones. There's a reason why I have 5 smooth stones. I'm good. So don't act out of character like these guys. This is how they're behaving, and others like them that's supposed to be in such an uproar. This is how they respond.
No, you did not. No, I know you did. Oh, no, you didn't open up a can of worms. I watched. Whoa, wait, can't believe you put your balls on me. Boy, you in trouble. You in so much trouble. Wait till I start running. I'm going to whoop you. I'm going to whoop you, man. I can't believe you put your balls on me. I can't believe you slapped me.
That's the drama. That's the theatrics that they're behaving. See, when people don't have a response, that's how they normally respond. When they know that they cannot win in an argument or discussion, that's what happens. You guys know what happened to me when I dealt with the Dow situation, when I dealt with the Issachar situation. You know, the same thing. Where are they now? Right? So that's the same response that I get. I've had people say that they want to have a discussion with me, only to find out they made videos and was talking bad about me, stating how they supposedly came to our assembly and shut me down, just all kinds of lies. Family comes with the territory. That's what I'm saying all that to say. It comes with the territory. And as far as those two guys, they made it clear that they've been trying to expose me, so to speak, for years. So this means even when we were supposedly rolling together, they've been trying to expose me. But yet those are the same ones that try to say that they helped my channel, this channel grow, which they did nothing. They had nothing to do with this channel growing. So I just want to make sure we're clear on that. All right. I want to do the same thing. I mean, want to go ahead and just put that out here. All right. And I see someone trolling, right? But it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. So family, we're going to go ahead and get into it. And I'm going to walk you through my position. And then we'll, along the way, as we continue, we'll debunk some of the scriptures that many are using to cherry pick. So let's go ahead and get into it. The title of this lesson, of course, you see Fake Outrage, the Second Exodus. Fake Outrage, the Second Exodus. Let me go ahead and stretch the screen out. All right, so let's go to get into it, family. Let's get into it. All right. Let me fix this here. What is the second Exodus? What is the second Exodus? Right? See, again, family, this is how you're going to, I'm going to walk you through the methodology to show you that, just lay out the foundation here. I'm going to lay out the foundation here. Lay out the foundation. So what is the second Exodus? Again, what is the second Exodus? What is the second Exodus? All right, let's continue. What is the meaning of the word Exodus? What is the meaning of the word Exodus? What is the original name of this book? All right, I may not go too deep in this for the sake of time, because I still have to prepare for Shabbat. But the original name of this book, what is the original name? It would be Sham Wath, in the Israeli Shemot, right? That is the original name. For us, the ancient Hebrew name is Sham Wath, right? So, and we're going to break this down. So to show that Egypt, and I want to make sure you guys understand this, right? To show that Egypt is part of the scattering, but not the exclusive or focus of regathering, as the term second Exodus might imply. I want to make sure that you guys understand my objectives. To show that Egypt is part of the scattering, but not the exclusive focus of regathering, as the term second Exodus might apply or imply. All right, so let's go to Exodus chapter 1, just to kind of bring everything in. Exodus chapter 1, verse 1. Now, these are the names of the children of Israel. You guys already remember this. So this is pretty much telling us what's the name of the book, the names of the children of Israel. And it makes it clear who we are dealing with here. The names, now these are the names of the children of Israel. That is why we see the book titled in ancient Hebrew, Sham Wath, and in the Israeli Shemot, because it simply means the names of the children of Israel. Okay. So when we go to the Hebrew dictionary definition of name, just so for those that may not understand this, the word name can be a literal name, or it can be a name that means honor, authority, character, fame, report, glory. And this is where you get the word kabod, right? Which means transliterates to the word glory. It also means reputation. So most cases when you see the word name, it can be literal, but then you'll also see the figurative perspective of it. When we're dealing with the reputation, when we say in Yah's name, we're saying in his authority, his character, his reputation. Or when Christ says that there's going to be so many false prophets that come in his name, saying that they are Christ or false Christ, he's saying that they are going to, this is dealing with the reputation. Let me say this here. I'm gonna say this to you, Malkaya, and this is where I get disappointed, and I don't like this. You're going to ask a question, or are you going to allow anyone to call in and question you, or we're just being childish? See, if you're going to ask a question, just ask the question, but you don't have to close it out with an insult. I normally don't open up my lives to people come jumping on. I normally don't. I normally don't. Haven't done that in a long time. So if you're going to ask a question, be respectful with the question. You don't have to end it with an insult at the end, or are we just being childish? But nevertheless, that in itself says a lot. So no, I'm not going to open up this lesson for a discussion. And that's the unfortunate. You're not going to ask me a question and then you want to insult me in the end. So with that being said, family, this is what I mean. We can't even be cordial. If you have a question, just simply ask a question. You don't have to be disrespectful. I wasn't disrespectful to you. I've never treated you with disrespect, but yet you're going to ask a question and then attach an insult to it. And family, this is what I'm saying. We can't be respectful even when we are asking a simple question. Come on now. And then that person is going to play victim because, yes, I blocked the person. Anyway, family, and this is what I'm talking about. All because of a simple phrase called second Exodus. And I'm saying that it's that is not even biblical. But that has our brothers and sisters, mainly the brothers, but I'm gonna say brothers and sisters, behaving like as if you would have thought that I said that I'm denouncing the scriptures, I'm denouncing Hamashiach, I'm denouncing Yahweh. You would have thought that I'm stating those things. I've never said that there's not going to be a gathering of Yah's people. Never said that. But because I said the second Exodus is a fable, the label and everything, the concept of it is not even biblical based upon if you accurately go with the scriptures. So again, it has people coming out of the woodworks behaving like this.
No, you did not. No, I know you. Oh no, you didn't open up a can of worms. I watched. Whoa, wait, can't believe you put your paws on me. Boy, you in trouble. You in so much trouble. Wait till I start running. I'm gonna whoop you. I'm gonna whoop you, man. I can't believe you put your paws on me. I can't believe you slapped me.
And that's what we're getting, family. That's what I'm getting at. So let's continue, family. So I'm going to make it clear, because when you're doing these type of lessons, this is where the disrespect comes out. Whenever I do certain discussions that goes against what many of this awakening are teaching, and a lot of this stems from, as I laid out, from the Christian church, the Christian Catholic Church, when I say or teach something that's not in the way of what the majority wants to teach, then the disrespect comes out. Hey, it's good. I know that most people don't say shalom. I don't get upset at it. Many people say Yahuwah or whatever the case may be, shalom. Many people would say those things inside here. I don't get upset. Many people disagree with some of the things I teach. It's fine. You're entitled to that. But there's no reason for disrespect. But anyway, family, let's get back to it. All right, moderators, you guys know what to do. If you see any comments of disrespect, you guys know what to do. No, don't even give them a warning. Don't even give them a warning. All right. And like I said, when things like this happen, situations like this come up, I get to see who's who. And guess what? I've seen a number of people that have been supportive here. I see, where they are. I see the comments that have been made about me, which is all good, because this channel is not built or based upon trying to build up numbers. All right. But let's go and get into it. So as we see here, Shem or Sham in ancient Hebrew, mark or memorial of individuality. So again, this word can be a literal name, or it could be figurative in terms of, as you see here, honor, authority, character, fame, in fame, us, renown, report. And as you see at the bottom right corner of your screen, reputation, fame, glory. All right. So this right here you get this word down, family, it makes it so much easier. It will open up so much. All right. So with this being said, let's go to continue. This again, learning and understanding that word will make things so much easier. So the original name of this book, as we see here, Shamwad, of the children of Israel, Ban Yah, right? So Israel, Yashara'al. So let's break this down. What is the meaning of the word Exodus? And I'm just going to give you a simple definition of it. The etymology dictionary definition of Exodus. As we see here, late Old English, the second book of the Old Testament, from Latin Exodus, from the Greek Exodus, a military expedition, a solemn procession, departure, death, literally a going out. And it tells us to see X, right, which is the prefix. Then we see hodos, a way, path, road, a ride, journey, march. And then we see figuratively way out, means. And then it goes on to tell us in the general sense, it says with lowercase e, it says departure from a place, especially the migration of large bodies of people or animals from one country or region to another. All right, so let's go ahead and break this down. And it goes on to say to tread on, go, to go away, become, weak, sit. All right, so let's look up the word, the actual word, sa'ah, that's in the Hebrew. This is what you'll actually find in a key passage about Israel departing. And I'm going to break this down. So when you look here, it says Ernest Klein, right? Comprehensive etymological dictionary of this word, definition of this word depart. And if I had my book with me, I think I left it at the temple in my office there. That Ernest Klein Comprehensive Etymological Dictionary, right? This is more of an advanced dictionary of the Hebrew. It's not a novice. So I have a screenshot of it here. So it tells us that sa'ah, it means he went quickly, ran. That's the key. We see rush, right? Be stormy. But the key here is he went quickly. That's the word that we see in the ancient Hebrew. Excuse me. So when we go to Exodus chapter 12, verse 37, right, this is what we're going to see here. If you pull up the Hebrew, you can pull up the Hebrew. And the children of Israel journeyed Sa'ah from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 on foot that were men beside children. So it says the children of Israel journeyed, okay? But what is the so-called second Exodus? What is the so-called second Exodus? What is the so-called second Exodus? And I'm here to tell you guys, words have meaning. And I know some would say it's just semantics, but we cannot be contradictory when we say semantics, because many of us are really, strong on the name. Whether you say Yahweh, whether you say Yahuwah, whether you say Yahweh, many will go at the Christian church if they say God, or especially if they say Jesus. If they say Jesus, that's one of those things that in this awakening, many will say, don't say Jesus, and come up with different things that it means earth pig, it means all these different things. So we cannot be contradictory by saying in one breath, syntax doesn't matter, but then we're trying to push that saying the literal name matters. So what is the second Exodus? What is the second Exodus, right? The title second Exodus, right, is not a biblical term. Let me say that again. Second Exodus, the term, the title, is not a biblical term. You will not find this in any passage at all. It's not. So what is a better name to describe this? What is a better name? What is the order of the multiple captivities? We want to cover a couple of these things. We're going to answer these questions. What captivity did the key prophets experience? Let's start with Zechariah chapter 1, starting at verse 18. We want to answer all these questions because this is very important, right? Then lifted I up mine eyes and saw, and behold, 4 horns, right? So to really understand this prophecy, to really understand where I'm going at with the different captivities, because we know Israel was in captivity more than 4 times. But the key is when you understand this prophecy, everything makes sense. Everything makes sense. So horns, Quran, represents nations. It represents their leaders or the strength of nations. All right. So the horns were said to specifically represent the nations that had scattered Israel. Let me say that again. The horns were said to specifically represent the nations that had scattered Israel. So let's start with and prove this with Zechariah chapter 1, starting at verse 19. And we're going to read 19 and 20. But it reads, and I said unto the angel that talked with me, what be these? And he answered me, these are the horns, Quran, which have scattered Zerah, Judah, Israel, Jerusalem, and Yahweh showed me 4 Arabah, carpenters, Charash Yam. So it tells us that, again, the 4 carpenters, even though there's more captivities, because just in the book of Judges, you'll see a number of captivities that have taken place. But when we get here, we're dealing with these 4 horns and who they represent for us, these major captivities that we're going to really cover in this lesson tonight. So it says here, these are the horns that scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. And for some of you guys that are just coming into this awakening, you may be a novice at this, in terms of really trying to pull everything together. When you see Judah, that represents the southern kingdom. Initially, when there was an initial separation, it was just the Benjamites in Judah. And then we see Israel, that's the other 10 tribes. And they split because of King Solomon's actions, right? And really, his son Rehoboam was like the final straw because of his decision. And so Jeroboam took over the 10 tribes, right? As Rehoboam still had authority over the 2. But eventually, because of the decisions that Jeroboam had made, and he really got into doing basically the same thing King Solomon had done, and even replaced the Levitical priests. So the priests left there and they returned to Jerusalem where the temple is located, and they came up under the authority of Judah. So initially it was 10 tribes to the north, 2 tribes to the south, and then later on, the Levites came down to Judah. All right. And so Jerusalem is where the remnant of all 12 tribes dwelt. So I want to make sure that you guys understand this. So that's what Jerusalem, when you see and Jerusalem, that's where the remnant dwelt. That's where the Levites dwelt. And of course, the royalty, right? The priests, I mean, not priesthood, but the royalty, like the David, the royal line, this is where they dwelt as well. All right. And when you understand Nehemiah, I believe chapter 10, either 10 or 11, this is where you get into them reoccupying the territory with the 10th of all the tribes. That's the remnant. But anyway, verse 20, and Yahweh showed me 4 carpenters. So the carpenters represent other nations chosen by Yah to be his tool of judgment. Excuse the typo. So I'll say it again. The carpenters represent other nations chosen by Yah to be his tool of judgment. These particular nations would destroy those who mistreated Israel. Let me say that again. These particular nations would destroy those who would mistreat or had mistreated Israel. See, the Most High has allowed other nations to that he used to chastise Israel. But when you really study the prophecies, these nations went overboard, and the Most High had to bring judgment to them. See, the Assyrians, right? When you highlight these 4 horns, Assyria conquered the northern kingdom of Israel, right? And we'll see this in Isaiah, and I'm going to cover some of the prophets of these times as well, just so that way you guys get a better understanding. Because when people start really expounding on prophecy, especially when you're dealing with these important passages, one thing they don't touch on, they really don't go into the details of the timelines and what happened, what's the landscape, what is going on during that time of that particular prophet. You don't really hear anyone doing that. You'll hear pretty much a Eurocentric approach, a Catholic approach in terms of eschatology, right? And I explained to you guys that there's so many different eschatologies. And if you just start within the Catholic Christian Church, you'll see different groups within it, but there's so many branches of that. And I can tell you emphatically that in this awakening, many are teaching a Catholic approach when it comes to eschatology. But anyway, so we see here Isaiah was a prophet in Judah over a period of 40 years. His ministry paralleled the rule of 4 kings, Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah. Let me say that again. Isaiah was a prophet in Judah for over a period of 40 years. His ministry paralleled the rule of 4 kings, Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah. So Isaiah is mentioned in the renewed covenant 22 times. Let me say that again. Isaiah is mentioned in the renewed covenant 22 times. So let's get some additional information about this book. For some of you guys, this is a refresher. The historical settings of chapter 1 through 39 presupposes a world in which Assyria was the dominant foreign power. Let me say that again. So the first 40 chapters or 39 chapters of Isaiah deals with the Assyrian captivity. That's a fact. And I'm going to prove it to you. And these are the things that we have to understand. So when we're going into the scriptures, we can properly apply and get more of an accurate prophecy when it was given. So again, the historical setting from the first chapter to the 40th chapter, it deals with the captivity, the Assyrian captivity. And then we see here as I have in my notes, then we get to from chapter 40 through 66. Now we're dealing with the Babylonians. For us, the Babylonians becoming the aggressors, taking Israel into captivity. So the first, like I said, the first 49 chapters in Isaiah, it deals with the Assyrians, captivity, and of course, the northern kingdom was in the under the rulership of the Assyrians, and then later from 40 through 66, we see the Babylonians, becoming Israel becoming captive to the Babylonians. So Judah's cities are still in existence at this time, supporting the view that this portion of Isaiah was written prior to Nebuchadnezzar's invasion, which began in 605 BC. Let me say that again. So this giving you proof, right? When it says this portion of Isaiah was written prior to Nebuchadnezzar, that's what I'm saying. I wanted to refer to that. The first 40 or 39 verses deals with the Assyrians. Okay, so let's go to Isaiah 43 and we're going to confirm this. Let's go to Isaiah 43. It says this: I will say to the north, give up, and to the south, keep not back. Bring my sons from far and my daughters from the ends of the earth. So let's break this down. Babylon, right? We started off with Assyria, then Babylon, and it's still dealing with the four horns. First you had Assyria, then the Babylons conquered Assyria. And Jeremiah, when you really study Jeremiah, he really deals with the Babylonian captivity. So to interpret, now I want to make sure you guys understand this, to interpret Jeremiah's, the book of Jeremiah, to really interpret his prophecies, his sermons, you have to know the major movements and trends in the political and economic world of that day. And that's the other element that many are missing. To interpret Jeremiah's messages, his sermons, the prophetic words that the Most High had given him, you have to know the major movements and trends in the political and economic world of that day. So in Judah, right, there were 5 different kings that sat upon the throne during Jeremiah's 40 plus years in ministry. So the book of Jeremiah lacks chronological order. It lacks chronological arrangement. Why is that? Why is it like a jigsaw puzzle? Because again, this book of Jeremiah contains prophetic discourses, biographical material, historical narratives, arranged without apparent chronological sequence. And I'm going to break this down here on why it seems like it's all over the place, because literally it is. Scholars have tried to put this in its proper sequence and still haven't been successful with that up to this day, because I'm going to explain why in a second here. So the 52 chapters cover a period of more than 40 years, just so you guys can understand that. So the oldest manuscript, I'm going to say this, no matter what manuscript it is, the oldest that exists in the world of this book of Jeremiah, guess what? It's not the original. Why? Because if they say it's an original, then you will not see these passages inside it if it is the original. But guess what? When you have study those manuscripts, you will see these passages here, which tells you and confirms that they're forgeries. So let me prove this real quick. All right. Then the word of Yahweh came to Jeremiah. After that, the king that burned the roll, and the word of Baruch wrote at the mouth of Jeremiah, saying, take thee again another roll, and write in all the former words that were in the first roll, which Jehoiakim, the king of Judah, had burned. So Jeremiah also answered questions such as, what happened to the bones of the ancient Israelites? He answers this question in chapter 8. Look at here. At that time, said Yahweh, they shall bring out the bones of the kings of Judah, the bones of his princes, the bones of the priests, the bones of the prophets, the bones of the inhabitants of Jerusalem out of their graves. Out of their graves. Out of their graves, family. So this answers the question where you get people from Kemet asking the question, like, where are the bones? Where are the bodies? Where are the bones? Because if you understand, when Jacob, just before he died, he asked Joseph, when they to take his bones with them so that way he could be buried in the promised land. And it's likewise with Joseph. So they were carrying their bones to bury them in the promised land. All right. And it says here, and they spread them before the sun and the moon and all the host of heaven, whom they have loved and whom they have served, and after whom they have walked, and with whom they have sought, and whom they have worshipped. They shall not be gathered, nor be buried. They shall be for dung upon the face of the earth. So you see here that this is nothing more, with the bones, they were dug up out of the ground. That's what this is saying. So let's continue. So we said the Assyrians initially conquered, starting with the northern kingdom. And then we had the Babylonians conquering the Assyrians. Now we had the Medes and the Persians in turn conquering Babylon. So who were the prophets during the Assyrian and Babylonian captivity? I'm not going to cover them all, but I'm just going to give you some highlights here. Ezra, and understand this, portions of this book appears to come from the personal journal of Ezra himself, who was a Levitical priest, a scribe, and a Persian high official. This person worked with the Persian government. That's right, family. See, today, right, we have certain groups here that will say, hey, if you're working for the government, that means you're an agent. But Ezra, he worked for the government. So you don't call him an agent. You don't call Nehemiah an agent. You don't call Daniel an agent. They just, those three alone worked for the government. The very books that many of you guys are making reference to. We can add Daniel to it as well, because Daniel's during the Babylonian captivity. So again, portions of this book appears to come from the personal journal of Ezra himself, who was a Levitical priest. He was a scribe and a Persian high official, written between 440 and 400 BC, probably a few decades after the return of exiles under Ezra and the purifying of the community. So it is uncertain if the book of Ezra or the book of Nehemiah was written first, but this book covers the events from 538 BC to approximately 438 BC, right? And during the reigns of the Persian kings, we see Cyrus, who is referred to as the shepherd king. And that is key. You have to really understand what I just said here, right? Darius, Xerxes, Artaxerxes, we see, again, certain events are contemporary with the prophet Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi. Haggai is a very important book as well. We're going to cover that when it comes to understanding the fulfillment of these prophecies. Because again, when you say second Exodus, now you just either lumping everything into one, or you bypassing so much fulfillment of the prophecies during that time. So Nehemiah was an Israelite leader who had attained status in the Persian courts as a cupbearer to King Artaxerxes, right? Or Xerxes, excuse me. Written about events around 446 BC, written to the returned exiles and citizens of Judah and Jerusalem. Then we have Esther, which covers events during the reign of Xerxes I, who ruled Persian from 486 to 465 BC, believed to be written a few decades after Xerxes' reign around 400 BC. So Alexander the Great, right, of Greece, conquered the Medes and Persians. So again, we're dealing with the four horns, right? And then Rome conquered the Greeks. Who conquered the Romans? Okay, so what is the so-called second Exodus? What is the so-called second Exodus? What is it? What is me stating that the second Exodus, that phrase, that label, that term is not biblical, cause everyone to, not everyone, but so many in this awakening to behave like this?
No, you did not. No, I know you did. Oh, no, you didn't open up a can of worms. I watched. Whoa, wait, can't believe you put your balls on me. Boy, you in trouble. You in so much trouble. Wait till I start running. I'm going to whoop you. I'm going to whoop you, man. I can't believe you put your balls on me. I can't believe you slapped me.
So what is the second Exodus that has so many within our community in a frenzy, just coming out of character for many of them, or showing their true characters in a sense, all because of me stating that there's no second Exodus, right? Okay. Let me get this troll out of here. See, this is what happens, family. You got trolls coming out of here. And moderators, if you see anyone trolling like that, like this person talking about some third degree, all this other craziness, don't let it sit there. Just put them out here. See, that's why I want to make sure, and thank you. And I want to put this up here. See, that person that came into this chat that asked if I was going to open up my live, Crypto P literally said that they're twisting your words in that other live stream of this live stream. It's actually wicked, saying you said things that you never said. And that's the point, family. So all this so-called uproar, these are individuals who saying that I said things that I never said. And so that person doing a live stream comes inside this chat and posts an insult, a question of insult, also that way they're live doing this live stream on wherever platform they have, and then they're trying to compromise, undo everything that I'm saying. They're trying to make up lies as we go here. And I thank you, Crypto P, for just sharing that. So again, they're twisting my words. It says they are twisting your words in that other live stream of this live stream. It's actually wicked, saying you said things that you never said. And family, I've been teaching this lesson for years. I actually taught it earlier this year. That's what's so funny, because people were saying, hey, why you take the lesson down? I took the lesson down that I did late night because I was having problems with my presentation. I'm very sensitive about my presentation. And then I took the one in the car down because my primary reason was, number one, because it's a sensitive subject, and then I'm just talking in the car about it. Guess what I did? I was like, hey, I want to have the sources to present. And, a few people said that, they thought I was being a little harsh or whatever the case, rough or insensitive with my tone. So I took it. It's not taken down. It's actually, private. And I may just, after all of this is over, I may actually make it available to you so that way you guys can see what the so-called uproar is about. Because really what I'm addressing in that video is how people have come up with, I call it the flea doctrines, spooking people into leaving wherever they are, whether it's in the country or out of the country, whether they're in the city or in the country, whatever the case may be, living in the city or living in the rural area, teaching this flea doctrine based upon this phrase, second Exodus. But nevertheless, what is the so-called second Exodus? What is the so-called second Exodus? I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit so we can get to some key information. Who coined the term? Is it the law of return? Right? Now, let's start with the law of return. The law of return, with the inception of the state of Israel, 2,000 years of wandering were officially over. Since then, the Jews have been entitled to simply show up and request to be Israeli citizens, assuming they pose no imminent danger to public health, state, security, or the Jewish people as a whole. Essentially, all Jews everywhere are Israeli citizens by right. In 1955, the law was amended slightly to specify that dangerous criminals could also be denied that right. In 1970, Israel took another historic step by granting automatic citizenship not only to Jews, but also to their non-Jewish children, grandchildren, and spouses, to the non-Jewish spouses of their children and grandchildren. This addition not only ensured that families would not be broken apart, but also promised a safe haven. So again, it says here, all Jews everywhere are Israeli. That's key. It says all Jews everywhere are Israeli. Let's go back here. That's a key point to pay attention to. Look at what it says here. It says all Jews everywhere are Israeli citizens by right. That's the point that I want to make sure we understand. All right. So what is an Israeli? What is it? What is an Israeli? All right. Because technically, and now let me just show you this simple clip. Let me do it. Just a simple clip. And I want to make sure everyone understand that I am not streaming this on any other channels. So anyone that is streaming this on other channels are doing it not at the permission of this channel. And I just want to make sure I state that as those that are streaming this on other channels that I'm unaware as was brought to my attention. I want to make it clear whatever things that they are, the overlays or commentary they are providing, I'm not endorsing any of that. And I am not saying, if you want to know exactly what I said, come and watch the actual live stream. And if you want to see if there's consistency with what I've said, go to the live that I did earlier this year. And then I also did a live a couple of years ago. So I've been teaching this consistently. All right. So just want to put that disclaimer there. All right. All right. Nevertheless, let me get my mouse here. No, let's just continue. Let's just continue here. I was trying to bring the chat here so I could pay attention to the chat. All right. All right. So let's continue. And family, remember what we said. If there's anyone that may start trolling here, family, just remember what we do here. We just say, listen with intelligence. Just post and say, listen with intelligence. All right. Just say, listen with intelligence. Post that inside the chat. So look at here, Israeli, citizen of the state of Israel. That's all it means. Israeli is a citizen of the state of Israel, right? And it goes on to say it distinguishes the citizens of the modern state from the ancient people. So when you see Israeli, if you hear them saying Israeli, they are literally telling you that they are not the original people, family. That's all they're saying. When you hear them say Israeli, they are literally telling you that they are not the original people. As what you heard, some of the links that I played here, showing that they are not the original people, right? Starting with Netanyahu, right? He's an Israeli.
This story begins in October 1949, 1 year after Israel's formation. This story begins in October 1949, 1 year after Israel's formation. This is when Netanyahu was born, the second child of a historian. His paternal grandfather was a rabbi and a Zionist writer. His name was Nathan Milikowski. Later in life, he Hebraized his surname from Milikowski to Netanyahu, a name which means God has given.
This is Yair Netanyahu's DNA test that has been leaked. You can see right there his Y DNA is RM198. Descendants of RM198 come from Poland, Russia, Germany, and other European countries. Does this look Semitic to you? Does this look Middle Eastern?
All right, so he's an Israeli, which means that he's a citizen of the state, but he's not connected to the ancient people. That's basically what this is saying. It says it distinguishes the citizens of the modern state from the ancient people. That's all it is. That's all it is. So the law of return also defines the requirements of a Jew. It defines the requirement of a Jew. It says here, definition, for the purposes of this law, Jew means a person who was born of a Jewish mother or has become converted to Judaism and who is not a member of another religion. Let's deal with Aaliyah. Let's deal with Aaliyah. And let's go to the Hebrew dictionary definition of Aaliyah. Look at what we see here. It says, something lofty, an example, stairway. Also a second story room. We see chamber, upper chamber. And then when we go to the primitive root word, the definition of this word, and as you see is Allah, it means to ascend. It means to be high or actively mount, arise, or rise up, ascend, cause to ascend up, cause to ascend up at once, burn, cause to burn, carry up, cast up, depart, exalt, excel, fetch up, get up, go, make to go away, go up, raise, recover, restore. So is this the Hebrew word the Jews used to establish the law of return called Aaliyah? Is this the Hebrew word the Jews used to establish the law called Aaliyah? The Jews connect the law of return to the word ole. This word also connects to the word, the Hebrew word for burnt offering. Excuse the typo. All right, so this word also connects to the Hebrew word for burnt offering. And then we go to here, right? In ancient Hebrew, it will be Allah, right? But here we see O, right? Now we're getting into vowels like the O sound, the U sound. And as I stated here and have taught here over and over again, there's no O sounds in ancient Hebrew. Let me say that again. There was no O sounds in ancient Hebrew. And let me just play this real quick, just for those that may want to state or put lies out there that I'm making up languages and stuff like that. But let me just let you hear. Let's just start with the O sound.
Here's a chart that summarizes vowel class and length. And you can see across the top the three classes, A, E, and U, and then down the side the four lengths, long, medium, short, and very short. So let's just go over this chart. We'll start with the A class vowels. The long vowel is cholam vav, and you'll recall that this says O as in snow. Now you might wonder why an O vowel is in the A class, and this is because of historical considerations. Originally there was no O sound in Hebrew.
No, you did not know. I know you did. Oh, no, you didn't open up a can of worms. I watched. Whoa, wait, can't believe you put your balls on me. Boy, you in trouble. You in so much trouble. Wait till I start running. I'm going to whoop you. I'm going to whoop you, man. I can't believe you put your balls on me. I can't believe you slapped me.
So in the video of that Hebrew lesson that you saw there, professor is teaching, and you heard with your own ears that there was no O sounds or O vowels in ancient Hebrew. So that would have made an A sound, as he explains. So I want to make sure you guys understand that, because there's a lot of lies that have been spread by those that have an issue with me stating what I stated about the second Exodus. All right. So I want to make sure you guys understand again. I'm going to say this periodically through this lesson. I am not stating that there's not going to be a return of Yah's people. There's not going to be an overall gathering of Yah's people. But there's a key word that we got to really make sure we hone in on when we get there. So I want to make sure you understand that. So here we see, right, Olah. I'm just saying it from the Israeli pronunciation. We see here a step. In other words, as ascending, burnt offering. In other words, sacrifice. So what is the scriptures used to support the law of return? What scriptures did they use to support this law of return? Let's see here. Now, this is coming from the International Christian Embassy, of Jerusalem. Let me say this again. The International Christian Embassy of Jerusalem. This is what they say about the return. Aaliyah, a banner to the nations, a special term from the Hebrew Bible, is used to describe the process of returning to the land. Aaliyah, which means to ascend, it was used in ancient times in reference to Jewish pilgrims ascending to Jerusalem for the three great biblical feasts of Passover, Pentecost, Tabernacles. Thus, the process of making Aaliyah today is seen as having spiritual meaning beyond the physical act of return. Let's see what the Bible has to say about the modern day return of the Jewish people to their ancient homeland, the land of Israel. Look at this here. Isaiah, it says there are two returns. Isaiah 11:11 indicates there will be a day when God will raise his hand a second time to gather the children of Israel to their homeland. The first return was predicted by the prophet Jeremiah to take place after Israel had been in captivity 70 years. Jeremiah 29:10, according to Ezra 1, happened precisely as foretold. See, this is what they're doing to justify what? Their position, right, of Aaliyah. After 500 years of intermittent and partial sovereignty in the land, the Jewish people were once again dispersed under the Roman Empire in AD 70. After 2,000 years, they have now returned and established sovereignty. No other people group has managed to survive two exiles, much less one that was 2,000 years long and then return to establish or reestablish national sovereignty. So, family, this is why it's so important, because you see here the same problem, skipping over all that history. Right? Remember, Jeremiah deals with the Babylonian captivity. So they're skipping over the Medes, the Persians, the Greeks, the Romans. They're skipping over all of those captivities. And that's the same problem when you see with the second Exodus. This second return was to be from every nation where they had been dispersed. And look at Jeremiah 16. These are some of the passages that they use. And family, this is where the issue that many are taking that same approach, like when we deal with the Christian church, taking scriptures and appropriating it in a way to benefit them. So not just Babylon, over the past 120 years or so, more than 3.5 million Jews have immigrated to the land of Israel from all over the world, from the north, south, east, and west, in literal fulfillment of God's promise. That's what they teach. So who was the first to use and coin the phrase Exodus? So far, I'm showing you how the name stealers, how they took text to customize it to make it fit their narrative by highlighting supposedly just two returns. Anyway, who was the first to use and coin the phrase Second Exodus? The so-called Second Exodus was coined by Ashkenazi Jewish historian Ada Aharoni. Here's the proof here. I'm not going to read all of this, but look at here. Aharoni, who now lives in Nesher, is the founder of and president of the World Congress of Jews from Egypt. As part of her abundant research, including 27 published books, she coined the term Second Exodus, referring to the forced expulsion of Jews from Arab lands such as Iraq, Yemen, Egypt, Tunisia, following the establishment of the state of Israel. But this is the kicker. Listen to what she says. Today, 28 Jews remain in Egypt. So this article here is from 2010. So back in 2010, April 2010, according to her, 28 Jews remain in Egypt compared to 100,000 in 1948. Today, Setters Aroni adapts the traditional story found in Haggadah to include the second Exodus. So again, she's the one that coined it, and look at what she writes about. All Egyptian Jews teach their children there was a second Exodus of their parents and grandparents. They tell the story of how it happened and how it's repeated of the biblical account in our own lives. All right. So who was the first to use and coin the phrase second Exodus? I gave an answer, but this is an additional source, right, to prove that. I'm not going to go into it because it pretty much reads almost the same. The Jews of Egypt in modern times were educated and brought up both in traditions and symbiotic culture relations between Jews, Arabs in the Golden Age, in medieval Spain, and on Western and Middle Eastern cultures and values. Now, I want to make sure we understand this here because someone, reached out to me and they gave me some words of encouragement, and I really appreciate that because they were really upset at some of the lies that have been made up about me from being an agent and all that other stuff by people that can't defend their arguments, but they have to reduce to what they reduce things to. All right. So with that being said, they asked me a question, about, they was under the assumption that I don't support that Israel is in Africa. And I just mentioned to the person that, yeah, Israel is in Africa. Israel is in Africa. The Middle East is actually Northeast Africa, right? So I've always taught that, but I just want to make sure you guys understand, no, I'm not teaching that Israel is in any other location but the Northeast Africa. All right, I know that there's others that are teaching different locations. Some are teaching that Israel is down in South Africa. Some are teaching that Israel is in Ethiopia. Some are teaching that Israel is in West Africa. I don't support any of those things. I teach that Israel is in Northeast Africa, but it's still, this is what they call today the Middle East. So I just want to put that out there just so that way you guys understand. All right. So this goes into rehashing what I read in the previous article. So again, the term second Exodus, I want to make sure you guys understand that phrase second Exodus did not exist prior to. Second Exodus did not exist prior to. It's not a biblical term. That's why I want to make sure you guys understand. So when you take on something that someone else has coined, what tend to happen? You tend to take on those same talking points, just like many of our brothers and sisters who have let's just say let's just say they left, or should I say they walked away from believing in Christ and become, let's just say, non-Messianic. They tend to take on the talking points of who? The Jewish community as we know them. They began to practice the Talmud. They began to practice mission. Well, of course, mission is a combination of all those, but they began to get into those things and begin to take on the talking points of then trying to come against the Messiah. So I want to make sure you guys understand that. I always, when we understand this, we have to make sure when we're dealing with words have meaning and they have definitions to it. This is why Israel, the ancient Israelites, they had Yah's name included in their names. They had Yah's name included in their names. So names have meaning. We cannot just downplay it and say, hey, it's just semantics. It's not just semantics. Words have meaning, family. I'm going to say that again. So let's continue, family. Going through the basics here. Let's go to Isaiah 11, starting at verse 11. This is this passage that so many use. And I want you guys to really pay attention to this. It says, and it shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh shall set his hands again the second time to recover, right? Quanawath, the remnant, Sha'ar of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, from Egypt, Pathros, from Cush, Elam, Shinar, from Hamath, and from the island of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall and shall assemble the outcast of Israel, which we're dealing with the northern kingdom, because the outcast Israel, the northern kingdom, we already know what's going on. It was already in captivity, gathered together the disperse of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Now, family, we have to put four corners of the earth in this proper context, and that's why we're going to define a key phrase here, which we see here is the island of the Gentiles, or the islands of the sea. See, when we think of four corners of the earth, we're looking at it from today. That's not how the four corners of the earth was reviewed back then. Just like when we look at world, there's different definitions of world, even how we use it today. Remember, Mary J. Blige had an album called, I think it was called Welcome Into My World. See, back in the day, back where I'm from, when we say my world, we're dealing with the people that are associated with us, or the demographics where we are raised at. You know, so when you look at the four corners of the earth, right, this is not dealing with what we see today. And I'm going to prove that here. I'm going to prove it here. Kind of like when we read the scriptures. For God so loved the world, that's your transliteration would say, that he gave his only begotten son. It says, for God so loved the world. But what's the proper context of world of that time? And if you study the text, it's referring to the Israelites. It's not this generic thing. So that's the point that I want to make sure you guys understand. So let's continue. So Yahweh shall set his hand again, the second time, to recover. Now, this is key, family. This is key. You don't see anything here that says second Exodus. Second time to what? Recover. Let me say that again. We already identified what the word Exodus is, not Exodus, but journey is from Exodus chapter 12. We see here, well, the word is sa'ah, but here we're going to deal with recover. Second time to recover. Let me say that again. Second time to recover. Let's define this. What is the Hebrew meaning of the word recover? Look at here. We see quana. Quana is the ancient word that you will see inside the text. It means to erect. It means to procure, especially by purchase, by implication to own, attain, buy, buyer. Look at this, family. Some additional things we want to highlight here. We say redeem. Now, of course, we see provoke to jealousy. That's not what we're dealing with in the proper context of this text. But we see redeem. Look at this. Acquire, to get, create, buy, possess. But these are the key words: to erect, right? To procure, especially by purchase, by implication, to own, attain, buy, buyer, redeem. But we see that word recover here as well. So is the word recover synonymous to Exodus? Let me ask you guys that question. Is the word recover synonymous to the word Exodus? This is a key question here. Let me say this again. This is a key question here. Is the word recover synonymous to the word Exodus? Is it synonymous? Is the word recover synonymous to the word Exodus? If you believe that is synonymous to the word Exodus, type 1. If you believe that is not synonymous to the word Exodus, type 2. And we'll give give some shout outs as we progress here. All right. So type 1. All right. If you believe that the word Exodus is synonymous to recover, type 2 if you believe that it's not. Let's see here. Let's give some shout outs here. Really appreciate the love and support. Family, I appreciate you. Really appreciate you guys. D Money, thank you, D Money. Really appreciate you. Fred Davis, all right, so far 2. D Money said 2, which says it's not synonymous. Fred Davis says it's not synonymous. Shakar says it's not synonymous. Tovia, excuse me, says it's not synonymous. Crypto P says not synonymous. LaRonda Thomas says it's not synonymous. My sister in the house, Sister Carol in the house, Sister Carol in the building. Family, show some love to my sister. Really appreciate her for the support over the years from when I first got introduced to this awakening. She was one of the first ones that would follow me on Facebook and just been really there, just helping me navigate through some things. Actually, she's the reason why I'm on YouTube, because of the things that Facebook was doing. So family, show some love to my sister, Sister Carol. Really appreciate you, sis. Then we have, let's see here, Malek Immaculate. When was the first time Yah gathered Israel? We're going to deal with that, but truly, if you really understand, just read the book of Judges. You'll see multiple captivities there. But if we want to start with if we want to say the four horns, we're going to cover that here. So I haven't gotten to that section yet. So I'll answer your question by the time we get there. All right. So far, everyone is saying that it's not synonymous. Let's go to another one here. We got pure repentance, heart. The kingdom is at hand. Says 2. Let's see here. Kedarian rather says 2. Let's see who else is here. Abak Khan Jones. I hope I pronounced your name correctly, and forgive me if I didn't. Charge to my head, not to my heart. Yaya too. So far, everyone that participated are saying that pretty much that this word is not recover is not synonymous to Exodus. Okay, so let's go back over to here. Let's go back over here. Let me move my mouse over. Let's go to Exodus 12, verse 37. Let's go back over here. In the children of Israel's journey, we see Sa'ah from Ramses to Succoth. So the Hebrew dictionary definition of journey, going back to where we were, it says he went quickly, ran. Remember? So Exodus, remember, refers to a large-scale departure or immigration, often involving a massive movement of people. Okay. Recover means to regain something that was lost, to return to a normal state after a setback, or to restore health or well-being. The proper word recover or redeem is connected to a key perpetual consequence given by Yahweh for perpetually breaking the law. Let me say that again. The proper word recover or redeem is connected to a key perpetual consequence given by Yahweh for perpetually breaking the law. Guess what? Here it is, Deuteronomy 28:68. So you'll see the connection between Isaiah 11:11 that I'm just highlighting and Deuteronomy 28:68. Now look at what it says here. And Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, abad yam, and no man shall buy you quanah. So we see some key information here. All right. So we see Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt, matzar yam. Right. So it says Yahweh will bring you into Egypt. Egypt again with ships. But the key that the point that I want to make with this passage, this is not a one-time prophecy. This is a perpetual prophecy. This entire chapter, actually not the entire chapter, starting at the previous chapter, which is chapter 27, you'll see the curses, the actual laws of the curses is listed in Deuteronomy 27. When you get over to 28, it starts off with the blessings. And then from the blessings, the first 15 verses or 14, 15 passages, from there on, you see the consequences. This is perpetual. This is not just one time. This is something that will perpetually happen. Now, the Most High is not saying that every single thing that you see here is going to take place in every captivity, but this is a perpetual consequence. When I say everything laid out in the consequences. That's at the discretion of Yah. But we will see that some key things that I want to highlight here. Really, I want to hone in where it says, no man shall buy you, quana. In other words, redeem. What does this mean? This is the NIV Bible transliteration of this. Yahweh will send you back in ships to Egypt on a journey I said you should never make. There you will offer yourselves for sale to your enemies as male and females, but no one will what? Buy you. Then we see the Message Bible, the Messy Bible, right? Yahweh will ship you back to Egypt by a road I promise you never see again. There you'll offer yourself for sale, both men, women, as slaves to your enemies, and not a buyer to be found. So Deuteronomy 28:68 is a prophecy that serves as a reminder that there is no salvation, no redemption in the system of man. We get into the 666 thing, right? System of man, right? System of man. Anyway, redemption can only come through Yahweh, Elohim's outstretched arms and his great judgment. So Yah is the Father, right? Yah the Father is our Redeemer. Just want to make sure we're clear. Through Yah the Father, his Son, the Hebrew Israelite Messiah, he is the ransom. So ransom, God Yan or Gadayan, comes from the primitive root word, not God, pod, I said God, that's actually pod. But anyway, which means release, preserve, deliver, let be, redeemed. All right. All right. So what is the more accurate term for the prophecy of Isaiah? It is a global future prophesied beyond the, or what is it a global future prophecy beyond the Assyrian captivity? That's the question I really want to ask. Is it, far as when we say this prophecy of going into captivity, what we read about Isaiah 11:11, is it a global prophecy that's beyond the Assyrian captivity? I'm going to prove to you that it's not. It's not. Let's go here again. It says, Yahweh shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left. Right? So with that being said, one key thing I want to define there is the island of the sea. And I'm going to get back to verse 11 here in a little bit. Is it referring to the United States? Is it referring to the Caribbean? Let's go to Eastern Bible Dictionary 1894 and let's see the definition of island, because this ties right into Genesis chapter 10, the Isle of the Gentiles. Look at here. It says here, island. And it tells us Hebrew dry land opposed to water, occurs in its usual signification. And it goes on to give us some passages there, but it says, more frequently simply denotes a maritime region or sea coast. And it gives some additional passages here. Tells us to see Chittim, because there's a prophecy of Chittim enslaving Hebrews. But anyway, the shores of the Mediterranean are called the island of the sea, or the Isle of the Gentiles. So that's when you see the island of the sea, it's not referring to the Atlantic Ocean. It's not referring to any of the major oceans this side of the world. This is dealing with specifically that region, that area. That's why I say context is everything. Understanding what the four corners at that time meant versus saying four corners when you get to, let's just say, the time of the Messiah. It's different. It's different. All right. So the shores of the Mediterranean are called the islands of the Gentiles, or the island of the sea, or the Isle of the Gentiles. So Yahweh shall again set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left. So what is the second time, right? That's the question, right? What is the second time? Is this referring to the final gathering of the true Israelites? No. When was this prophecy fulfilled? We have to answer this question, right? But what is the definition of remnant? Let's deal with remnant real quick. We already covered this. It means remainder, residual, and you'll see this in Nehemiah. We'll highlight that a little later. Surviving final portion, remnant, residue, rest. So remnant is the surviving portion. Sha'ar. When we go to the primitive root word, look at what it says. The key is left behind, right? But anyway, the remnant are the left behind. So what did the Messiah say about the remnant? The left behind. What did he say about it? Right, real quick. Matthew chapter 20, verse 15 and 16. Is it not lawful for me to do what I will with mine own? Is thine eye evil because I am good? So the last akar yath shall be first. Akkad, the first akkad, last akar yath. For many be called, but few chosen. So Christ is making it clear. And when we look at what this word means that I just pronounced here, it says last or end, but the key, remnant. So Christ is teaching about the remnant. Anyway. So what is the so-called second Exodus? What is the so-called second Exodus? Let's go to Isaiah 27, starting at verse 12. And it shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh shall beat off from the channel of the river unto the stream of Egypt, and ye shall be gathered, right? Laquat, one, akkad by one, akkad, O ye children of Israel. And it shall come to pass in that day that the great trumpet shall be blown, laquat, and they shall come which were ready to perish in the land of what? Assyria. Come on, family. They're still in the land of Assyria. And as I pointed out, they have not dealt with the Babylonians yet. That doesn't come until we get down to chapter 40. All up to this point, we're still dealing with the Assyrian captivity. So that's why this passage says, and it shall come to pass in that day. What is the day? What is that day? What is that timeline? That the great trumpet shall be blown, and they shall come which were ready to perish in the land of Assyria, and the outcasts in the land, right? The outcasts, Nadak, Yam, right? In the land of Egypt, and shall worship Shathak, Yahweh, in the holy mount at Jerusalem. So we're dealing with the land of Assyria. At this time, the northern kingdom, guess what? They are in bondage. Judah here, guess what? They are in fear of being taken in bondage to the Assyrians. That's the point that you guys have to understand, family. This is why really knowing this information, the backdrop, the history of each book, each writing of each prophet, and knowing the setting and the captivity of that time puts things in this proper perspective. This is why we have so much confusion. This is why many are still trying to make sense. This is why if you don't understand what I'm just laying out, you can easily be off. And family, I'm not saying that I wasn't there. I was in the same boat. I was there too. I was an end time prophecy geek to the highest level. But once I began to peel all those layers off and start seeing, because again, I know some of you guys may not know this, but my mother practices Judaism. And I'm not saying that to disrespect my mother, but she practices Judaism. That's how I'm familiar with the Talmud. I could go into the Talmud and show you that's how I'm able to pull up some of the stuff that I pull up. She has the whole library of the Talmud. She has the Mishnah. She had the Midrash. Actually, she gave me some of her books. I think I have one because I'm redoing my desk. I'll show you one of the books here real quick. Because me and my mother have discussions of me trying to bring, bringing certain things to her attention. But let me show you here. My office, right? I got books all over the place because I'm putting some new shelves, doing some crown and chair rail and all that other stuff. But anyway, let me move my mic here. All right. But I don't study from this stuff. Let me put this stuff over here. Let's get back to it. let's get back to it. So family, this is why it's important for us to really do our due diligence. And if we go into passages trying to piece passages together, that's what the church do mainly. A lot of passages piece passages together and not really go into the details. And if you're not careful, you can create a narrative that's not there. Like the second Exodus, again, that is not coined by our community. It was put together by the name stealers to justify their occupancy. That's the point that I want to reiterate on that. All right, but let's continue. All right, the key is, it says here, which were ready to perish in the land of where? Assyria. But it didn't stop here. We're going to cover some additional information here. All right. So the Hebrew definition, a dictionary definition of the word gather here, laquat, it says here, to pick up, to gather, glean. In other words, again, it says to pick up, gather, glean. You know, it doesn't really give you much information, but this is what you see in the background here. All right. This is what you see here. Laquat. So did the prophet Isaiah forget to mention the Babylonians? Because we see the Assyrians mentioned in chapter 11. But did the prophet Isaiah forget to mention the Babylonians? I'm here to tell you, family, no. Because again, at the time of Isaiah 11, the Babylonian captivity didn't even happen. They were dealing with the threat. When I say they, the southern kingdom was dealing with the threat of the northern kingdom. I mean, not northern kingdom, of Assyria. So the Babylonian captivity didn't happen at this time. That's why you don't see Babylon there. So the Babylonian captivity did not occur at the time of this prophecy. That's a fact. So at the time of this prophecy, Israel, the northern kingdom, was under the authority of the Assyrians, and Judah, the southern kingdom, had entered into agreements with the Egyptians. So they had made, excuse the typo here, family, you know how it goes, typing this stuff up, trying to make sure things are a certain way. And I didn't proofread it before I did this presentation. I was trying to clean up the presentation a little more. So at that time of the writing of Isaiah 11, the Babylonian captivity was nowhere in sight. That prophecy that we read about, as far as the regathering, that's why you don't see the Babylonian prophecy there. You see Assyria there. And I'm going to share with you why you see those territories of Egypt. I'm going to share with you here in a second. So Isaiah 30 through 31, guess what? Provides a strong critique of Judah's reliance on Egypt during times of political and military crisis. Because we're going to see here how Israel tried to enter into an agreement with the Egyptians, and that Israel, even when we go to the time of Jeremiah, Israel decided to go to Egypt. They had dealings with Egypt. They allowed Egypt to have an influence on them that the Most High did not want them to have, that they went against the Most High to circumvent the threat of the Assyrians. Let me prove this. These chapters, right, written during the Assyrian captivity of the northern kingdom and the growing threat to the southern kingdom, emphasize the futility of forming alliances with foreign nations rather than trusting in Yahweh. So again, the chapters that I'm covering, this is dealing with the Assyrian captivity, and that the northern kingdom were already in captivity. They were already enslaved. So the southern kingdom, Judah, right, emphasized the futility of forming alliances with foreign nations rather than trusting Yahweh. Let's prove this. Isaiah 30, starting at verse 1. Woe to the rebellious children, saith Yahweh, that take counsel, but not for me, and that covereth with a covering, but not of the spirit of my spirit, that they may add to sin. They walk to go down to Egypt. Wait a minute. They where? What do you see here, family? They are going to Egypt. The Israelites going to Egypt. They have relationships with Egypt. They are entering into agreements with Egypt. So this is why when you see Deuteronomy chapter When you see Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68, you see Quanah, redeem. When we go to Isaiah 11, when it says that the Most High will what? Recover again. Why? Because Israel was entering into agreements. They continue to give the Egyptians power. That's why you see the Egyptians listed there. And that's one of the reasons why I believe many will take on the narrative of second Exodus. Even though the scriptures, technically, if we want to be truth about it, for that passage, for that prophecy is what? The second recovery, the second redemption, redeeming them what? At that time. Not a second Exodus. It's a second redeeming at that time. Because guess what? The Babylonian, or excuse me, the Assyrian captivity at that time was a major captivity identified as being one of the horns. Can't make it any plainer than that. So therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, Basha, and the trust and the shadow, Salah, of Egypt, your confusion. So the Most High is giving a word of judgment to Judah because out of fear of the Assyrian threat, they went to Egypt. They began to form alliances with Egypt, thus fulfilling, again, Deuteronomy chapter 28:68, no man shall buy you, right? They try to offer themselves, try to enter into agreements, but they can't what? Redeem them. Yahweh pronounced a woe, a strong warning, Hawaii or Hawayah, a strong warning of judgment on the rebellious people of Judah because they continue to refuse his help. Time and time again, they rejected Yahweh and their hearts became hardened. A rebellious Judah formed an alliance with the Egyptians. Judah was facing great threat by the Assyrians, and so the leaders believed that the nation's only hope was to form an alliance with Egypt. So what is hope? What is hope? Let's break it down real quick. Expectation. That's simply what hope means. In the Israeli tikvah, in the ancient Hebrew, kwawah, which means expectation, a cord, a lifeline, to make it plain. You'll see this here. A thing on which something or something, someone or something depends, or which provides a means of escape from a difficult situation, a rope or line used for life-saving, typically one thrown to rescue someone in difficulties in water or used by sailors to secure themselves to a boat. So, this is from a different lesson. So I'm not even I should have taken this out here. So that has nothing to do with this lesson. But anyway, Isaiah 31 is further proving that Judah was trying to enter into agreement with the Egyptians, that the Babylonian captivity had not taken place yet. We're still dealing with who? The Assyrians. This is Isaiah 31. This is going to further prove this, because I know some teach completely different, right? Teaching the opposite of what the actual history of these passages is. Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help and stay on horses and trust in chariots because they are many, and in horsemen because they are very strong. But they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek Yahweh. Yet he also is wise and will bring evil and will not call back his words, but will arise against the house of the evildoers and against the help of them that work iniquity. In other words, bending, twisting the law. That's what iniquity means in ancient Hebrew. So Judah's hope was not to be found in the military might of Egypt, but rather in the power of Yah. What was the backbone of the Egyptian army Yah destroyed? Right? Their chariots, their horsemen. This was destroyed when Yah delivered them out of Egypt. Right? In Exodus chapter 14. Israel is seeking salvation from the Egyptians because of their special forces. Israel was seeking salvation by going back to Egypt, right? Here's the key verse. Verse 3, Egyptians are men, right? Look at what the Most High had to tell Israel. The Egyptians are men and not Elohim. Yours will say God, and their horse is flesh and not spirit. When Yahweh shall stretch out his hand, Yad, both he that helpeth shall fall, and he that is hoping shall fall down. and they shall fail together. So family, I'm proving to you with text, with scripture, that Israel is in Egypt again. See, this is during the Assyrian captivity. Israel is entering into agreements. They are in Egypt right now. Even though the Most High delivered them from Egypt, even though we see them leaving Egypt, but here in this passage, we see that they are in Egypt. Can't make it any plainer than this. That's why it's important, again, to understand the full context of what's taking place. So Israel had to be reminded not to worship and idolize the Egyptians, right? And when we see now, this means present, immediately, so they had to learn this lesson immediately. Judah was to be reminded of their past and their present and their now at that time, their immediate time. So Judah had to be reminded that in that present time, immediately, that the Egyptians are men and not Yah. So let's go to Ezekiel chapter 30. And this further substantiates what the point that I'm making. Starting at verse 21, this further proves the issue that Israel had, right? It says here, Son of man, I have broken the arms of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Lo, it shall not bound Kabash up to be healed. So the Most High is making it clear that they're not going to be able to, no matter what they try to do to give Pharaoh power, they're not going to be able to do it because he broke the arms, right? I thought I saw something here. All right, anyway. So, son of man, I have broken the arm of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and lo, it shall not be bound up to be healed, to put a roller to bind it, to make it strong, to hold the sword. Verse 22, therefore, thus saith Yahweh Allah, and behold, I am against Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and will break his arm, the strong, his arms, the strong, and that which was broken, I will cause the sword to fall out of his hand. So the Most High is saying, no matter how much power you give Egypt, they're not going to have the power you think. They can't redeem you. They can't save you. That's why it says he broke the arms, so that way reminding Israel that the Egyptians cannot redeem them. Come on, family. It's just that simple. And I will scatter the Egyptians among the nations and will disperse them through the countries. And we know that prophecy was already fulfilled. So Egypt, the nation's existence was not blotted out, but their control and authority over Israel was removed forever, but Israel kept giving them power. So Egypt, Matsar, Yam, reputation is connected to Israel because they held them bound. Yahweh promised that his discipline of Israel will be limited. Yahweh's discipline did not destroy, did not blot out, did not replace his chosen people, the Israelites. But sometimes Yahweh punished Israel by allowing them to suffer from war or even exile, right? We covered that earlier. So when we go back to Isaiah, just to make sure you guys understand, the prophet Isaiah warned Israel that if they did not repent, Yahweh would use Assyria as his rod, right? As his rod of mine anger. And we could confirm this in Isaiah chapter 10, starting at verse 6. Look at this here. Assyrian, the rod of my anger, Shabbat of my anger. And it says here, in the staff in their hand is my indignation. So it's laid out here. It's laid out, family. It's laid out. Right? And it goes on to say, I will send him against an hypocritical Kanak nation, Gawan, right? Against the people of my wrath, right? Some of you guys would say Goy, that's dealing with the Israeli pronunciation. But it says, I will send him against an hypocritical nation and against the people of my wrath. Will I give him a charge to take the spoil and to take the prey, to tread down like the mere of the streets. All right. So Yahweh used Assyria's extreme desire to dominate all the nations as a means to carry out his judgment upon the northern kingdom of Israel. Because of Israel's rebellion and betrayal, Yahweh was going to allow Assyria to conquer the northern kingdom. And we can see this and prove this in 2 Kings chapter 17, starting at verse 1. And family, if you want to confirm what you see, the writings of the prophets, especially when you're dealing with Isaiah, Jeremiah, go to 2 Kings, because it gives a historical account of what we're pointing out with these captivities. Okay, so in the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Judah, this confirming what I just read in Isaiah, look at what it says. Hoshea, the son of Elah, to reign in Samaria over Israel 9 years. And he did that was evil in the in the sight of Yahweh, but not as the king of Israel that were before him. Against him came up Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, and Hoshea became his servant and gave him presents. And the king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hoshea, for he had sent messengers to king of Egypt. So look at here. You see what I'm getting at? The relationship with the Egyptians. So king of Egypt and brought no presents to the king of Assyria, as he had done year by year. Therefore, the king of Assyria shut him up and bound him in prison. Then the king of Assyria came up throughout all the land and went up to Samaria and besieged Sarah in 3 years. In the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away into Assyria and placed them in Halah and in harbor by the river of Gozan and in the city of Medes. So we see that this is confirming just what I just read to you out of Isaiah chapter 10 about the northern kingdom going into captivity to the Assyrians. And we see the relationship of them that they have with the Egyptians. As we go back here in verse 4, for he has sent messengers to the king of Egypt and brought no presents to the king. So family, it's right here. This is why we see Egypt listed in chapter 11. It's just that simple. Verse 6, in the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away into Assyria. All right, so Isaiah 27 verse 12 and 13, look at this, it connects the dots. And it shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh shall beat off from the channel of the river unto the stream of Egypt, and ye shall be gathered one by one, O ye children of Israel. Because again, as I pointed out, Israel was going to Egypt. They cut deals with Egypt. We even saw here or read here that the northern kingdom, and 2 Kings confirms it, that they were giving gifts. They was in cahoots with Egypt. They kept giving power to the very thing that Most High delivered them from. And it shall come to pass in that day that the great trumpet shall be blown, and they will come, and they shall come which were ready to perish in the land of Assyria, and the outcasts in the land of Egypt, and shall worship Yahweh in the holy mount at Jerusalem. All right. So Yahweh has promised to restore Israel and his people. Look, I understand I'm not reading Isaiah 14 and 1 and 3. I'm going through a lesson here because that's not speaking. I just gave a full detailed understanding of the text. Isaiah 14, 1 and 3 is not a future prophecy for today. You know, when we read it, when we read Isaiah, you know, I'm not going to get into the details because I don't want to get thrown off. And maybe I may revisit it at the end. But as I pointed out, Isaiah 14, and I just covered chapter 11, you know, we're dealing with at that time, this whole time of the prophecies from chapter 1 through chapter 39, we're dealing with this, that Isaiah was written during the captivity of the Assyrian captivity with the northern kingdom. So I'm not going, you know, if I have time at the end, I may touch on it, but I'm not right now. I'm going at one point. I'm not jumping around from scripture to scripture, trying to, you know, I'm not debating. That's what I'm getting at. I'll save questions for the end. But again, that's why I wanted to make sure we understand. We have to understand the context. We have to understand what the prophecies are saying. We have to really understand that. You know, and again, when we read in certain passages, now, of course, Isaiah prophesies about the future Messiah. And we can confirm that because Matthew chapter 1 makes reference to Christ being what? Coming under the authority, reputation of Emmanuel. Didn't say that Emmanuel will be his literal name, but that will be the reputation that he comes under. So we get clarity that when we talk about a Messiah, the Most High, that we can use that text because we can confirm that with Matthew chapter 1. All right. So we'll try to get there if we can. But right now, I'm just trying to stay within the lesson here. If we have time, we'll touch on that, but we'll save it for another time. And this is not trying to be offensive. This is not trying to brush you off, but I just want to make sure I get through this slide here, presentation, because it is a lengthy presentation, right? It's not one of those I can just do with a flip of a switch. It's like at least a 2 hour as we hitting 2 hours now. Isaiah predicted that Israel would be set free from the Assyrian and Egyptian exile, as well as from the Babylonian captivity. All right. Soon after Isaiah's day, the Babylonians destroyed Jerusalem and deported the blood descendants of Israel to other nations. So the book of Jeremiah and 2 Kings confirms the Babylonian captivity, right? And this is where I want to get into more clarity with Jeremiah. And I've taught this a number of times. Jeremiah, when you're reading the book of Jeremiah, I already gave some bullets on that earlier, but also there was 3 invasions. When you're reading the book of Jeremiah, keep in mind there were 3 invasions by the Babylonians. The first invasion of Judah and Jerusalem by Nebuchadnezzar took place in the 605 BC. Let me say that again. Let's say that again. All right. The first invasion of Judah and Jerusalem by Nebuchadnezzar, it took place in 605 BC. All right. 2 Kings chapter 23, verse 34. And when you understand the book of the Kings, Ezra wrote the book of the Kings, pretty much most of it, if not all of it. Right. And giving a historical count that lines up with what we're just pointing out. So 2 Kings chapter 23, starting at verse 34. Let's see let's just touch on it real quick. And Pharaoh Necho made Eliakim the son of Josiah king. So we see, look at here, family. I just hope y'all grab hold of this. You see how Israel was still intertwined with the Egyptians. So you see Pharaoh, look at this. Pharaoh Necho made Eliakim the son of Josiah king in the room of Josiah his father, and turned his name into Jehoiakim, and took Jehoahaz away and came to Egypt and died there. See, this is why I want to keep reiterating this point. Israel did not let Egypt go at this time. They were still going back to Egypt, and we cannot minimize the Assyrian captivity, nor can we minimize the Babylonian captivity. Verse 35. And Jehoiakim gave the silver and gold to Pharaoh, but he taxed the land to give the money according to the commandment of Pharaoh. He exacted the silver, gold of the people of the land, of everyone according to his taxation, to give it unto Pharaoh Necho. Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And his mother name was Zebudah, the daughter of Pedaiah of Rumah. Verse 37. And he died that which was evil in the sight of Yahweh, according to all that his fathers had done. So Jehoiakim was placed on the throne by Egypt. I hope you guys understand this. So when you're reading Isaiah 11, and as I proved in Isaiah chapter 30, chapter 31, that Israel still had this relationship. Both of them had northern and southern kingdom. They still was holding on to Egypt, even though the Most High told them not to. So if they were holding on to Egypt, that means they were also performing or practicing idol worshiping. So Jehoiakim was placed on the throne by Egypt and had his name changed by Pharaoh Necho, changed from Eliakim to Jehoiakim. All right, by forcing a name change, Pharaoh Necho was indicating Egypt's dominance and a mark of Jehoiakim's subjection. Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned for a term of 11 years under the domination of Egypt. That Egypt, that's why I said Egypt back then, because they were under the bondage of Egypt. Man, they were still dealing with the Assyrians, and you see Judah trying to enter into agreements with Egypt. It's a whole big hot mess, family. It's a hot mess. I know this is not a popular truth. This is an unpopular truth when you don't want to let go of certain things. Family, it is what it is. That's why I'm doing this lesson again for how many times? This is like the second time I did this lesson, technically third time I'm doing it in 1 week. Come on, family. Jehoiakim lived a wicked life. Instead of following in the ways of righteousness of his father Josiah, he followed the example of the wicked kings who had ruled before him. I'm speeding this up a little bit. So Jehoiakim surrendered to Nebuchadnezzar. Judah became a vassal state to Babylon. Let me say that again. Jehoiakim surrendered to Nebuchadnezzar, and Judah, the southern kingdom, became a vassal state to the Babylonians. So Nebuchadnezzar allowed Jehoiakim to remain in power as a puppet king. You see how they played on the two? You got Egypt, you got Babylon, you got the Syrians. You see how Israel, just like right at this time, man, they just like being pulled every which way because they would not swallow their pride and go to the Most High. So let's go to 2 Kings chapter 24, verse 1 through 4. Let's confirm this. In his day, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came up, and Jehoiakim became his servant 3 years. Then he turned and rebelled against him. And Yahweh sent against him bands of Chaldees and bands of Syrians, bands of Moabites. There we have it, Moabites, right? And we can still tie, if I remember chapter 15, I think the chapter 15 mentions the Moabites. But look at here. And Yahweh sent against him bands of the Chaldeans, bands of the Syrians, bands of the Moabites, bands of the children of Ammon, and sent them against Judah to destroy it, according to the word of Yahweh, which he spake by his servant the prophets. Surely at the commandments of Yahweh came this upon Judah to remove them out of his sight for the sins of Manasseh, according to all that he did. Verse 4, and also for the innocent blood that he shed, for he filled Jerusalem with innocent blood, which Yahweh would not pardon. So for 3 years, Jehoiakim willingly subjected himself and paid the annual tribute to Nebuchadnezzar. He foolishly rebelled because Egypt had launched a surprise attack. So Egypt was battling with the Babylonians. So the king of Judah decided that he was going to rebel, looking at this as an opportunity to free himself. So against the army of Babylon, and defeated them in a major battle. Sensing that he could now throw off the yoke of Babylon, Jehoiakim turned to the Egyptians to form an alliance. Nebuchadnezzar, needing to rebuild his army, had to wait some time to put down the uprising. Then which leads me to the second invasion of Judah and Jerusalem. It occurred in 597 BC. Nebuchadnezzar took 10,000 Israelites, most likely skilled workers, to Babylon. Right now, they're going to what? A territory, foreign land, right? A land that they were not familiar with. Highlighting Jeremiah chapter 15, because many will go to Jeremiah 15 and say, hey, look, this is a land that's foreign to them. Yes, because Nebuchadnezzar took thousands of Israelites, the creme of the creme, and Daniel records this in Daniel chapter 1, and took them to Babylon. Come on, family. It's just that easy. It's just that easy. It's just that easy. All right. It's just that easy, family. So let's go to 2 Kings 24, starting at verse 8. It verifies this. Jehoiakim was 18 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned in Jerusalem 3 months, and his mother name was Nehushta, the daughter of Elnathan of Jerusalem. And he did that which was evil in the sight of Yahweh, according to all that his father had done. At that time, the servants of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came up against Jerusalem, and the city was besieged. Right? Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came against the city, and his servants did besiege it. And Jehoiakim, the king of Judah, went out to the king of Babylon, he and his mother and his servants and his princes and his officers, and the king of Babylon took him in the 8th year of his reign. And he carried out thence all the treasures of the house of Yahweh, the treasures of the king's house, cut it in pieces. And we say house of Yahweh, that's the temple. The king's house, cut in pieces all vessels of gold which Solomon, king of Israel, had made in the temple of Yahweh, as Yahweh had said. And he carried all of Jerusalem. He carried away all Jerusalem, and all the princes and all the mighty men of valor, even 10,000 captives, and all the craftsmen and smiths. None remained, save the poorest sort of the people of the land. Which leads me to Jeremiah 22. All right. As I live, saith Yahweh, though Coniah the son of Joachim, king of Judah, were the signet upon my right hand, yet I would pluck thee thence. So this is just basically telling us how the royalty, the authority, the curse, the punishment of a wicked king. So it's saying he will be the last. He will not have any more royal seeds coming through him, even though he had sons, but they would not be recognized as royalty. He'll be the last king of Judah right here. So the signet upon my ring, yet would I pluck thee thence, and I will give thee into the hands of them that seek thy life, and into the hand of them whose face thou fearest, even into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and into the hands of the Chaldees. And I will cast thee out, and thy mother that bare thee, into another country. What is the other country? See, this is what I'm saying, family. Context is everything. What is the other country? What is the other country? Was it the United States? Because when many look at the scriptures, when they see in Jeremiah chapter 15, they say another country, a country you didn't know. Guess what? Where did they take the king and his family to? They didn't take him to the United States. They didn't take him to South America. They didn't take him to the Caribbeans. They took him to Babylon. It's just that simple, family. Where ye were not born, and there ye shall die. Verse 27. But to the land whereunto they desired to return, thither shall they not return. Is this man Coniah a despised, broken idol? Is he a vessel, wherein is no pleasure? Wherefore are they cast out, he and his seed, and are cast into the land which they know not? O earth, O earth, O earth, 3 times, right? Right, the third letter, right? Gamal, Mator, right? Winged, but anyway, hear the word of Yahweh. Shammai, or Shammai, Ha-Dabar, Yahweh. Thus saith Yahweh, write ye this man childless, a man that shall not prosper in his days, for no man of his seed shall prosper sitting upon the throne of David and ruling any more in Judah, even though his children was alive, but he was going to be treated as if he was childless. Come on, family. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. But again, as I stated, you have some of our brothers and sisters, the ones that I mentioned, they want to go off the rail and start, with the drama because of me teaching about the second Exodus.
No, you did not. No, I know you. Oh no, you didn't open up a can of worms. Now, boy, I swore. Wait, can't believe you put your balls on me. Boy, you in trouble. You in so much trouble. Wait till I start running. I'm gonna whoop you. I'm gonna whoop you, man. I can't believe you put your balls on me. I can't believe you slapped me.
Yeah, family. That's the drama right there. That's the drama. That is the drama right there. Let's continue, family. We're getting there, family. We're getting to some key points. Almost there. So he pressed its imprint on. Oh, actually, let me go back. So this is just dealing with the signet ring. I'm not going to go through all of this. You guys already know what the signet ring is used for, and that's what the Most High referred to the king, that he's removing his signet ring. He's breaking it. This is basically saying that he will have no authority. That's all this is saying. All right. So because of King Jehoiakim's evil lifestyle, Yahweh said that he would take away the king's, Yah-given authority. Both Jehoiakim and his mother, the queen, will be handed over to Nebuchadnezzar and exiled to Babylon, a country that they had no knowledge of, a country they never lived in before. As Jeremiah 15 states, it's not dealing with the United States. And if I have enough time, I'll explain to you guys the traps and the origins when we start getting into dual, when they start saying dual prophecy, you have dual philosophy, you have duality in different religious sects. And I'm going to explain to you guys the dangers in that. All right. So Jehoiakim would never return to the promised land. Like a broken, useless pot, he would be a king that no one wanted. 3 times Jeremiah called on the land to hear the word of Yahweh. None of his sons would succeed him, right? This is what I pointed out, right? Treat him childless, which leads me to the third invasion. And we're going to wrap this up here. I'm going to try to get this done in like 20 minutes. The third invasion of Judah and Jerusalem occurred in 586 BC. During this time, the temple was burned and the city destroyed. Almost all remaining inhabitants were raptured to Babylon. And let's go to the etymological dictionary definition of Babylon, of rapture rather. We see act of carrying off, seizure, rape, kidnapping. All right, just keep it real simple. Carrying off, abduction, snatching away, rape. But let's go to Jeremiah 39. Jeremiah 39. In the 9th year of Zedekiah, the king of Judah, in the 10th month came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and all his army against Jerusalem, and they besieged it. And in the 11th year, Zedekiah, in the 4th month, in the 9th year, the 9th day of the month, the city was broken. So what is the proper context of Isaiah 11? Because we came here, Jeremiah 39:1 and 2, just giving us some more information about how, confirming this third invasion. But what is the proper context of Isaiah 11 and 12? Let's go back here. I just want to break this down real quick. Right? You guys already know this. And it shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, Egypt, Pathros, Cush, Elam, Shinar, Hamath, and from the isle of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, gather together the dispersed of Judah from the 4 corners of the earth. So the proper context, the second time in Isaiah likely refers to the historical regathering initiated by Cyrus but not a modern geographical event. Let me say that again. This Isaiah 11:11, this regathering is, it's not coinciding with today. This is dealing with Cyrus. And I'm going to prove to you that this is actually dealing with Cyrus, who's also referred to as the shepherd king. Isaiah 11:11. Watch this. The inclusion of nations like Assyria, Cush, Shinar points to historical scattering, not a prolonged 2,000-year exile. Let me say that again. The inclusion of nations like Assyria, Cush, Shinar, or Shinar, however you want to pronounce it, points to historical scatterings, but not a prolonged 2,000-year exile. And when you hear that term second Exodus, that's what many are teaching, like this long millenniums of this exile, a prolonged exile. No, that's not what it means. And we're going to break it down. Isaiah 27:12 and 13, real quick. I already read this, but I'm not going to read this again. But still, the point that I want to make here is here. The great trumpet shall be blown, and they shall come which were ready to perish in the land of Assyria, and in the outcast in the land of Egypt, and shall worship Yahweh in the holy mount at Jerusalem. So let's deal with a historian. Here. Did Josephus ever mention a second Exodus? Right? Did he ever mention a second Exodus? Because he is a historian from that time. And if you really want to get an idea of exactly what Israel, right, how they viewed this passage, let's go to the historian and see if he made reference to a second Exodus. Let's see how he made reference to Isaiah 11:11. Let's see if he was referring to that as an event of today. let's go to the works of Josephus, right? But nevertheless, right? Josephus does discuss related prophecies from Isaiah, particularly those concerning King Cyrus of Persia and the return of the Jewish exiles from Babylon. So when we go to Josephus, the Antiquities of the Jews, Book 2, Chapter 1, right? And I want to just ask this question: is what I'm going to read to you referring to the final gathering of the true Israelites that many want to take it? When was this prophecy fulfilled? We're going to answer this question. Let's see how Josephus take it. This is coming from chapter 1 of book 11. It says this, paragraph 2. This was known to Cyrus by his reading the book of what? Isaiah. Wait a minute. This is Cyrus. This is confirming that Isaiah 11 is dealing with King Cyrus, right? Look at this. This is King Cyrus, right? This is pointed to King Cyrus, right? This is the one, this is the shepherd king, because he's reading out of the book of Isaiah. And guess what? This shepherd king allowed a number of things to take place, some key points to take place. And look at what Josephus says. This was known to Cyrus by his reading the book of Isaiah, left behind him of his prophecies. For this prophet said to God had spoken, said that God has spoken thus to him in a secret vision. My will is that Cyrus, whom I have appointed to be king over many and great nations, send back my people to their what? Own land. Come on, man. That's a mic drop right here. Send my people back to their own land. And my people, and look at what it says, and build my temple. This was foretold by Isaiah 140 years before the temple was demolished. Accordingly, when Cyrus read this and admired the divine power, an earnest desire and ambition seized upon him to fulfill what was written. So he called for the most eminent Jews that were in Babylon and said to them that he gave them leave to go back to their country and to rebuild their city Jerusalem in the temple of God, for that he would be their assistance. Come on, fam. And that he would write to the rulers and governors that were in the neighborhood of their country of Judea, that they should contribute to them gold and silver for the building. Didn't put it all here, but you guys get the gist of it. Come on, family. It's right here. Now, when we go to Isaiah 44, because remember, they are in Babylon captivity by this time. Verse 28, look at what it says. That saith Cyrus, he is my shepherd. Oh, come on, family. I know, Pastor Kelly, he's an agent, right? That's what he said, right? He's an agent, started wanting to do all kinds of mockery and stuff like that. Because why? There's no argument. There's no argument. This right here is pretty straightforward. I'm laying it out. I'm not sitting up here just saying something, just blotting out what I think, what I feel, and what I want. This is me actually doing detailed studying. And like I said, this is why I used to embrace the second Exodus term. I'm not saying I didn't. I did at one time. But I have no problem to say that I was wrong. Now, I would say I never embraced this flea doctrine. But I understand, coming from the Christianity perspective, when I was still dealing with Christianity, yes, I was embracing still a Eurocentric interpretation of the prophecies. And when I say Eurocentric, I'm not just dealing with the Roman Catholic Church or the Christian Church. We're dealing with Judaism as well. We're dealing with Islam as well. That's all Europeans right there. Influence. So I have no problem to say that I was wrong. I had to say I was wrong a number of times, even studying the ancient languages. But the problem is, because people have built up and established themselves off of these key words, I'm not making money off of this. I'm not doing this for the money. I have a job. I have a 9 to 5. I have a place of employment. And even if I didn't, I never had the desire to make money off of being off the people being a pastor. I wanted to make sure I had my house and cars and things like that that I had before I even accepted being in the office of a pastor. And anyone that know me that has been around or local will tell you this. That's why I don't have a problem with doing this right here. That's why let me make sure you understand what I mean by doing this right here. This is why I have no problem with doing this right here. I have no problem with showing my face. I have no problem putting my name on what I teach here. Anyway, let's continue, family. Let me show my face a little bit. Y'all didn't tell me to hide my face. Throw rocks behind my face. Nah, I'm going to look into the camera. Thus saith Cyrus, he is my shepherd, and shall perform all my pleasure, even saying to Jerusalem, thou shalt be built, and to the temple, thy foundation shall be laid. Come on, family. During the Medes Persians rulership by the man called the Shepherd King, right? Now, this is the prophecy of the Shepherd King. Now, let's highlight a couple of things. So to substantiate my claim, I will highlight 3 key events that took place during the Medes Persian rulership that you cannot just bypass. Let me say that again. To substantiate my claim, I will highlight 3 key events, right, that took place during the Medes Persian rulership, right? Again, family, I'm just laughing at all of this, right? I'm just playing everything back, right? Because when people don't have nothing on you, they got to make something that's so simple, so minute, because this is really not something that they should have blown up out of context. This is what happens when people don't have nothing to say. But guess what? I got a lot to say. Right? Let's start here. Let's start with the 3 key events, and we're going to wrap it up. And this is going to further solidify the position that I take, that I have given you nothing but proof, primarily dealing with what? The holy text itself. Precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. The restoration of the temple. Let's deal with the restoration of the temple. We also want to deal with the restoration of the royal bloodline. 2 key things. Let me say that again. Really, it's going to be 3, but the restoration of the temple, the restoration of the royal bloodline. Let's start with those 2 first. Matthew chapter 1, verse 11. Look at here. This is why I say this is important. And Josiah begat Jeconiah and his brethren about the time they were carried away from Babylon. And after they were brought to Babylon, Jeconiah begat Salathiel, or Salathiel, however you pronounce it, excuse me for butchering it. And Salathiel begat Zerubbabel. This is important, family, because remember, when we start dealing with Jeconiah, we're dealing with the royal authority that have been removed from the bloodline. So why do we see this here? Why do we see this here? See, you have non-Messianics will approach this text and say that, hey, Josiah or Jeconiah, he was cursed. He was saying that he would never, Jeconiah was cursed. His seed was cursed, that there would never be a king. His bloodline was tainted. Family, let me show you how I shut down non-Messianics, right? Who is Jeconiah? You got Jeconiah. You guys already know this right here. I'm not gonna read the scripture again because I have it here duplicate. But Jeconiah, as you see here, it says here, was the son of Jehoiakim for 3 months and 10 days, king of Judah, until Nebuchadnezzar carried him away. Let me zoom this in because I know some of you guys want to see this full screen. All right. So let's fast forward. Almost done here, family. I'm not gonna go super late like I would normally do. All right. So the consequences of a fallen king, right? We already read this about the scepter, no, not scepter, but the ring, as you see here. Judah, it says here, King Joachim of Judah were the signet upon my right hand, yet I will pluck these. So the Most High, in a nutshell, removing the royalty, the authority, he's removing that from him. The kingship, he's removing that from him. And then we see here, I will cast thee and thy mother that bare thee into another country. Come on, family. It's pretty simple. All right. So let's fast forward here. And it says here, for no man of his seed shall prosper sitting upon the throne of David and ruling anymore in Judah. So through Coniah, the son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, there were, Judah were the signet upon my right hand, yet I pluck. All right. Now I'm not going to explain the signet ring. Let me fast forward. All right. Like I said, this is duplicate here. But let's go to Haggai chapter 2. This is going to confirm the restoration that I pointed out, because they're dealing with the temple here, but also we're going to see how the Most High restored the bloodline, dealing with Zerubbabel that we saw in the Messiah's bloodline. Again, the word of Yahweh came upon Haggai in the 20th day of the month, saying, speak to Zerubbabel, governor of Judah, saying, I will shake the heavens and the earth, and I will overthrow the throne of kingdoms, and I will destroy the strength of the kingdoms of the heathens, and I will overthrow the chariots and those that ride in them. The horses and their riders shall come down, everyone by the sword of his brother. And in that day, saith Yahweh of hosts, I will take thee, O Zerubbabel, my servant, the son of Shealtiel, and saith Yahweh, and I will make thee as a signet, for I have chosen thee. So we see the Most High restored the bloodline through Zerubbabel. That's what this is saying. All right. I'm just fast forwarding, family, because of we're getting up there in time, and I don't want to just duplicate what I already pointed out. All right. Let me fast forward. All right. And this is still dealing with Coniah, right? So I'm not going to read this again. And this is gone, still dealing with Haggai. Just a little duplicate here, but just proving that Zerubbabel, right, was restored. The bloodline was restored. That's the point that this is making here. All right. But it says here, in that day, saith Yahweh of hosts, will I take thee, O Zerubbabel, my servant, the son of Shealtiel, said Yahweh, and will make thee as a signet, for I have chosen thee. All right. I will not make. Let me fast forward, because I don't need to. I think that's error there. But anyway, Yahweh promised to make Zerubbabel his representative, to make him or treat him like his signet ring. In the present verse, Yahweh compares Zerubbabel to his own signet ring. All right. And look at here, verse 1 of right. This is the key. In the 7th year, in the 20th day of the month, came the word of Yahweh by the prophet Haggai. So you had the prophet Haggai confirming, right? You have here, it says here, of course, you have Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah. So he's a leader of Judah. And then you see Joshua, right, the son of Josedek, who's a high priest. And then you see the residue, in other words, the remnant of Israel. So you see all of these witnesses. You see Hosea, you see Joshua, the high priest, and you see the residue, in other words, the remnant of Israel. They are confirming that Zerubbabel has been restored. So Haggai's message was coming at a critical time, a time when the people were unavoidably making comparison between the two temples and becoming discouraged. All right. 16 years earlier, when the people had laid the new temple's foundation, some of the older men who had seen the glory and beauty of Solomon's temple, they wept. Apparently, in their eyes, the newer temple was small and inferior by comparison. And as the work resumed, these years later, the people were evidently making the same judgment. Yahweh directed Haggai to immediately confront the people again. Yahweh instructed Haggai to speak to both the leaders and the people. So this is just giving me some information here. Who are the leaders? We already covered that. I'm not going to continue to duplicate this. I didn't get a chance to clean some of this out, so I'm just fast forwarding here. All right, so the third thing, so we saw the bloodline that was restored. We saw the temple. In the bloodline, yeah, I think that was the three. Anyway, I know it's getting late here, but let's deal with the restoration of Jerusalem. All right, let me make sure I got it correct here in my own slide, right? Let me go back. I want to make sure. Yeah, we're getting close to the end. I want to make sure I'm not misquoting my own information here. All right, where is it? I know I covered a lot, family. And this is a big presentation. And I literally took it down from the original presentation. When I say took it down, shrunk it down. All right. All right. Right here. Yeah, the restoration of the temple, as I mentioned, the restoration of the royal bloodline. Okay. Now let's fast forward. All right. So now we're going to deal with Jerusalem. And then we pretty much finished. The restoration of and fortifying the walls of Jerusalem. Jeremiah 44, verse 11 and 14 through 14. Therefore, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, Elohim of Israel, behold, I will set my face against you for evil and to cut off Judah. I will take the remnant of Judah who have set their faces to go into where? There we see it again, family. Israel decided to go into Egypt. Come on, family. I just can't make it any plainer. I cannot make it any plainer. So do we just bypass all of this to skip from when Israel came out of Egypt initially, and then we just say everything all the captivities, everything that transpired, all those prophecies is going to be this so-called second Exodus is going to bypass all of that. It's going to bypass all of that. No, family. I'm pointing out a key fulfillment of prophecy that occurred in the time of the Medes and the Persians, right? Who conquered Babylon. And I will take the remnant of Judah that have set their faces to go into the land of Egypt, to sojourn there, and they shall be all consumed. And fall in the land of Egypt, they shall even be consumed by the sword, and by the famine they shall die from the least even unto the greatest, by the sword and by the famine, and they shall be execration and an astonishment and a curse and a reproach. For I will punish them that dwell in the land of Egypt, and I have punished Jerusalem by the sword, by the famine, by the pestilence. So none of the remnant of Judah which are gone into the land of Egypt to sojourn there shall escape or remain. They should return into the land of Judah, to the which they have a desire to return to dwell there, for none shall return, but such all shall escape. So was all the Israelites who fled to Egypt slain? They weren't. The scripture makes it clear. When we read, go down to verse 27 through 29. But again, these are the people that instead of going back to Jerusalem like they were supposed to, like they were told to, they fled. Instead of fleeing Babylon and going to Jerusalem, they fled and went to Egypt. So the Most High, in results, punished them out in Egypt. And here it is. Behold, I will watch all of them for evil and not for good. And all the men of Judah that are in the land of Egypt shall be consumed by the sword and by the famine until there be an end of them. Yet a small number that escaped the sword shall return out of the land of Egypt into the land of Judah. Wait a minute. Yet a small number that escaped the sword shall return out of the land of Egypt into the land of Judah, and all the remnant that are gone into the land of Egypt to sojourn there shall know the words, whose words shall stand mine or theirs. So look at this. A small number that escaped the sword shall return out of the land of Egypt into the land of Judah, and all the remnant of Judah. Come on, family. You can't, you know, that's why I say we just bypasses so much history. And this shall be a sign unto you, saith Yahweh, that I will punish you in this place, that ye may know that my word shall surely stand against you for evil. So the punishment was for all of Judah, but a remnant escaped and returned to the land of Judah and Jerusalem. By this time, according to this judgment, the land of Judah and Jerusalem was in ruins, right? Oh man, did I put it all in here? Yeah. Look at this here. Verse 44, Jeremiah 44, verse 1 through 6. The word came to Jeremiah concerning all Judah, which dwell in the land of Egypt, which dwell at Migdal and at Taphanes, and at Noph, and in the country of Pathros, saying, look at all the places that they were dwelling, right? Anyway, let me leave that alone. Look at this here. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, Elohim of Israel, ye have seen all the evil that I have brought upon Jerusalem and upon the cities of Judah, and behold, this day they are a desolation, and no man dwelleth therein, because of their wickedness which they have committed to provoke me to anger, in that they went to burn incense and to serve other Elohims whom they knew not, neither they, ye nor your fathers. Howbeit I sent unto you all my servants, the prophets, rising early and sending them, saying, oh, do not this abominable thing. But they hearken not, nor incline their ears to turn from their wickedness, to burn no incense unto other Elohims. Wherefore my fury and my anger was poured forth and was kindled in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem, and they are wasted and desolate as this day. All right, family, you can't make it any plainer than what I just went through. Now, when you transition from here, this is where you get into Nehemiah. I was trying to put it in here. I didn't have time to place it in here. I was also trying to put Jeremiah 29 in here, where they are in Babylon. But anyway, let's pull this up real quick. Let me see if I can. Let me do this real quick. And we'll wrap this up. I want to show you the remnant. I did this the last time I did this. Didn't have time to do it like I wanted to do. Put it inside the PowerPoint. Let's do this real quick and we'll close out. Let me see. Let's go to my I believe it's Nehemiah 11. Let me go to the KJV, and I'm going to share my screen, family. Just want to get to a couple of key points real quick. I was going to go to Ezra and all that, but family, this is a large presentation, and I get worn out every time I do this presentation because it's very large. And I try to shrink it down, and then this one I had some duplicate slides. All right, let's see here. Let me look at here to make sure that this is the one I'm looking for, the verse. No, I think it's chapter 10. Let me see here. Why is it bringing in NIV? Let me put the KJV here. I'm going to share my screen here in a second. All right, let me see here. Let me make sure I got the right. Make sure. Bear with me 1 second here, family. All right. Make sure I'm getting the right chapter. Then I'm trying to set my screen up. All right, let's see here. All right. Let's go here. Bear with me 1 second, family. All right. Let me share this screen. Bear with me 1 second. Let me move this out of the way. I don't want to do this. Let me move this over to here, so that way you guys can see it. And let me share my screen. And then we're going to call it a wrap, family. All right, come on now. All right, let's try this now. Let me stop this share. And let me share the screen. All right. Now, family, let's pull this out here. So look at here, family. So Yaquaba, I see, was the temple destroyed in the Maccabee? No, the temple wasn't destroyed. What they did was, if you remember the Maccabees, they, you know, when I say they, you know, what's his name? I can't think of the Antiochus, who was pushing the Greeks' culture. What they did was they profaned the temple, and all through Jerusalem, they were trying to make Jerusalem into Mount Olympus. So they were putting, you know, tried to make the whole area like a prostitute, an area of prostitution, you know, or how can I put it? Sacred prostitution, if you want to call it. So they didn't tear down the temple, destroy the temple. They actually profaned the altar. And so during the time of the Maccabees, that's where they, when I say they, Judah, you know, they claimed the, they actually built a new altar, and celebrated. But that, yeah, it wasn't, I went to the wrong one. It wasn't destroyed. The temple wasn't destroyed at that time. The altar was profaned. And they built a new altar and dedicated it. And that's where we get dedications. All right. Let's see here. Right. So this is Numbers, Nehemiah chapter 11. And when you look at here, when you understand here, Nehemiah coincides with Ezra. You know, when you start understanding the things that the Most High fulfilled, as far as building the temple, restoring the bloodline, restoring, fortifying the city, all of this took place during this time. So how do we just disregard this and just say, hey, no, we lumping all of this into one? Because then that's the only way you can do that is if you only place the point of emphasis on Egypt. But you can't do that. You have to place the point of emphasis on each captivity as it happened, as it occurred. All right, but real quick, as you see here, I'm gonna zoom it in a little bit more so that way you guys can see what I see. All right, let me close some of this stuff out. All right, can you guys see that? If you guys can see it, matter of fact, let me zoom it in more. Does that go for you guys? Can you guys see that? All right. And the rulers of the, look at here, and the rulers of the people dwelt at Jerusalem. The rest of the people also cast lots to bring in, look at here, to bring 1/10, one of the 10th to dwell in Jerusalem. The holy city, 9 parts to dwell in other cities. All right. So this is the tithe of all the tribes. That's why I say this is dealing with the remnant. So here it is, the remnant, right? They had all the tribes, right? They cast lots, submitted names of people that was going to occupy Jerusalem, which is the heart of Israel overall. All right. I don't want to do this. Let me scroll down here. But this is where I want to go to a key portion of this passage. Look at here. In the residue, in the residue of Israel. Remember, Sha'ar also means, it transliterates to remnant, but we also see residue. And this is important. Here, when it says residue of Israel, this is dealing with the northern kingdom, right? So you have the southern kingdom. That's why when you read here, you'll see references to Benjamites. You'll see references to Judah. You'll see references to Levi, right? As you see here, let me go up here. Look at here, right? I thought I just saw it here, right here. And at Jerusalem dwell certain of the children of Judah and of the children of Benjamin, of the children of Judah, and it start giving you some names here. So that's the point that I want to make. So you see Judah. I think you'll see some Levites here as well. But look here, you see Judah. You see the priests here. Of course, you're dealing with Levi. Let's see here. Yeah, we see some of the Levites here. Look here. Also of the Levites, Shemaiah the son of Hashub, the son of Azrikam. All right, but let's scroll down here. So you see that we're seeing different portions of the southern kingdom: the Benjamites, Judah, Levites. But then when we get here, that's why I want to make sure we're clear here. When we get here, this is actually dealing with Israel. I mean, the northern kingdom. So we see a residue. This is a remnant of all that are occupying where? Jerusalem. So we see the restoration. This is what? Fulfilling. We can easily say that this is fulfilling Isaiah 11, which we connected it to Isaiah 44 when we dealt with the shepherd king. And all of this is dealing with the shepherd king. Wrapping this up. Let me go to one last point here. If I can. All right, let's go to. And so we see here Nehemiah inquiring about what is going on with Judah. And we see here, this is what he's asking. And it says, and they said to me, the remnant that are left of the captivity, they're in the province, are in great affliction. All right. So we see that the whole state of the area was in ruins because of what Nebuchadnezzar had done, because the Most High allowed him to do, the Babylonians to do that, because of what? Israel choosing Egypt over returning. When it says flee Babylon, they were supposed to return back to Jerusalem, but instead they fled to Israel. And as we read, they had a history of what? Placing Israel above, placing Egypt above their own native place. And last point I want to make, I get asked this, I see this a lot, and this is one of the things that some of the people that want to justify the second Exodus. This is what they will run to try to say, well, hey, this answer this text right here. This confirms what? Oh, that this confirms that this is the second Exodus. And I'm going to say this is too easy to deal with. This is too easy. Let me show you what they would say. There go here. And I will make thee to pass with thine enemies into a land which thou knewest not. For a fire is kindled in mine anger, which shall burn upon you. Family, this is too easy. The land, as I pointed out, is Babylon. Remember, there was multiple invasions. This is what many would come here and say, hey, well, as you see here, it says, and I will make thee to pass with thine enemies into a land which thou knewest not, for a fire is kindled in my anger. So look at what Daniel had to say this. We'll just go to Daniel just to confirm what I said, because, I don't have my presentation the way I would normally do, but let's go to Daniel and we'll see how this coincides, the harmony in the text. Look at this. In the third year reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, in the third year reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem and besieged it. But it didn't stop there. Let's see what it says. Let's see what it says. Let's go to this key area. And the king spake unto Ashpenaz, the master of the eunuchs, that he should bring certain of the children of Israel in the king's seed and of the princes, children in whom was no blemish, but well favored. So guess what? They besieged this area, but here it is. Where are they here? They went and took what? The creme of the creme and took them to this place. Among those that was already there, rather, I want to make sure we have it correct here. Right? Because remember, King Jehoiakim and all of them was taken to Babylon. But within Babylon, right, the king is saying out of the pool of people that they brought here, they want Ashpenaz to pick and choose the creme of the creme. And then he wants to elevate them. All right. So let's go back to Jeremiah with one last point I want to make. Like I said, family, it's sad, you know what I mean? You would think with me bringing out the Ashkenazi, creating that term and coining second Exodus, you would have thought that would have been received. But because our community, to my surprise, still, kind of behaved as if we're, like many within the Christian church don't want to let go of Christmas. Let me see here. Look at this right here. Look at this. I want to make sure you guys understand this. Now, these are the words from the words of the letters that Jeremiah the prophet sent from Jerusalem unto the residue of the elders which were carried away captives, into the priests, into the prophets, into all the people whom Nebuchadnezzar had carried away captive from Jerusalem to where? Is that a mic drop or what? Is that a mic drop or what, family? Is that a mic drop or what? See, this is where you see the harmony of the text, because this is the land. I took you to Daniel to prove to you that the Babylonians carried away, as you see here, they took with them. Now, these are the words of the letters that Jeremiah the prophet sent from Jerusalem into the residue, the remnant of the elders, which were carried away captives, to the priests and to the prophets and to all the people whom Nebuchadnezzar had carried away captive from Jerusalem to Babylon. That is the foreign land that is being referred to. After that, Jeconiah, the king and the queen and the eunuchs, the princes of Judah and Jerusalem and the carpenters and the smiths, were departed from Jerusalem. Family, I can't make it any plainer than this, right? But you know what? You're going to see what happened. Just what happened this past couple of days. You know, brothers and sisters, starting with the ringleaders that I pointed out, wanted to push something that I did not say. And I'm going to put that video back up so you guys can hear that I never said what they tried to lie on me about. They wanted to take it all out of left field, but because I didn't curse, I didn't mention any names, but I guess the old saying, throw a rock in a pack of dogs, you know what happens. But anyway, let's wrap this up, family. Look at this. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, right? The God of Israel, in other words, Yahweh of hosts, Elohim of Israel, unto all that were carried away captives, whom I have caused to be carried away from Jerusalem to where? Babylon. And this is where the second Exodus doctrine or flee doctrine people have a problem with, because they want to teach you that you're supposed to get all fearful and scared and that you just leave. They don't want to read this part right here. They don't want to focus on this part of the scriptures when it says this is those that have been carried away in Babylon. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, Elohim of Israel, unto all that carried away captives, whom I have caused to be carried away from Jerusalem unto Babylon. Build ye houses where? In Babylon. And dwell in them where? In Babylon. Plant gardens where? In Babylon. Eat the fruits where? There that you planted. And those gardens, those fruits, those trees, and where? Babylon. Take ye wives and begat sons where? In Babylon. Didn't say marry the Babylonians. Didn't say mix and mesh with them. This is among the Israelites. Take ye wives where? In Babylon. Begat sons and daughters where? In Babylon. Take wives of yours for your sons. Where? In Babylon. Give your daughters to husbands. Where? In Babylon. That ye may bear sons and daughters. Where? In Babylon. That ye may be increased. Where? In Babylon. And not diminished. This is not saying anything about Egypt. And seek the peace of the city. Wait a minute. Where? Is this dealing with Jerusalem or is this dealing with Babylon? And seek the peace of the city whither I have caused you to be carried away captives, and pray unto Yahweh, for it, let me move this out of the way, for in the peace thereof shall ye have peace. But guess what, family? Let me read that, go down a little bit further. Family, that's why I say it's too easy, man. If we just, and it's not that, it shouldn't have even got to this point. For thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Elohim of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, let not your prophets, wait a minute, look at this here. Let not your prophets, people want to say that they're not prophets, but then they want to talk about they gave prophecy. They want to say, oh, no, I'm not a prophet. No, I never said I'm a prophet, but let me give you prophecies. I'm not a prophet, but look, I predicted this. I predicted that. But you said you're not a prophet, but you only want to be selectively a prophet when you think that something have catered to what you wanted to cater to. But then when you get something wrong, now all of a sudden, I never said that I'm a prophet. Family, you either going to be that or you're not going to be that. But look at what it says. This is what the Most High said to the people. For thus said Yahweh of hosts, Elohim of Israel, let not your prophets and your diviners that be in the midst of you deceive you, neither hearken to your dreams, which ye cause to be dreamed or dreamt. For they prophesy falsely unto you in my name. In other words, reputation. I have not sent them, saith Yahweh. So don't let anyone have you in a place to where as though you are so fearful. If the Most High told them back here to prosper wherever you are, the same rules apply. The Babylon that the Most High is telling us to flee today, it's not a physical place. It's a world universal system that's all around the world, called religion, called also referred to as the medical system, the systems of men. It's not this foolishness that people keep telling you, go flee to Africa. Man, you have people that went to Ghana and lost everything because of what? This flee to Africa. And guess what? What they were using to justify that? They was using scriptures like what I just went over. So what happened? People went to Ghana, and what happened? You guys seen it on the news. They lost their property. They lost all kinds of things. They were being told that, hey, there's no taxes in Ghana. In Ghana, because, in the United States, they had taxes on your houses. Guess what? They had taxes in Ghana, but people lost their stuff. And then guess what? You have people, and I'm not even going to deal with Africa because I want to make it clear. If you want to go to Africa, the Most High leads you over there, that's fine. But don't try to pressure people. And many people have pressured people to go to Africa, to flee to Africa, and they're not going themselves. But anyway, you had not just the flee to Africa, but you had those inside this country, inside the United States, trying to make those feel bad that live in cities to go live on a plantation. Whereas you got the big house like Massa, and you got our brothers and sisters living like slaves on those plantations. Man, the big hustle. But we see here, see, the reason why you have all the commotion is because people are in their pride and they want to speak out because they don't want to admit that they're wrong. I didn't say any names when I pointed out about these things. I mentioned no names. But guess what? The dog that yelps, the dog that hollers, that's what the rock hit. I wasn't targeting any specific person, but I was putting it out there that I'm tired of hearing this flea doctrine. We got brothers and sisters now saying, anyway, I'm not even going to get into all the other stuff. It wasn't targeted to the people that call themselves being upset, but yet they used it as an opportunity to want to throw shade and try to slander and make up stuff. But it's okay, family. It's okay. Because one thing I can tell you, and this is not a threat, this is a promise. The Most High have a great sense of humor. A great sense of humor. For those that will take this video and want to take this teaching and you start teaching out of context of what's actually been taught, watch what the Father's going to do to you. Watch, family. For you guys that have been patient and watch this video, the clarity that I gave multiple times in teaching this, and I'm going to put the video back up there, because it doesn't matter now because people came out of hiding and start trying to put their mouth on me, right? But I have videos here. Let's see if you want to do your proper due diligence. I want you to go through what I just went through. Show me one teaching of these guys that want to point fingers. Show me. See, this reminds me of every time I have to deal with some situation like this, the people come out of the woodworks. I start seeing who's who. And the Most High said, yeah, make a note of that person, 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 make a note of that person. And I'm making notes. I'm making notes, family. Thank you, Paul Hickman. Really appreciate the love and support. Really appreciate it, family. And family, as you see, I made no contradictions. I never said what people want to take out of context. I never said that there's not a gathering of Yah's people. But the key is redemption, redeeming. Because in 11:11, it says the second recovery, which means the second redemption. Of what time? What time? This is where those Israelites of that time from Assyria, before Babylonians even came into play, that they were going to be redeemed. And we see what happened when the king, the shepherd king, took place. Family, it's real out here, family. It's real out here. But family, that is what it is. And mark my word, see, you're going to have people that's going to pump themselves on the chest and all this other stuff and say, hey, well, yeah, I'll do this, I'll do it. No, you won't. No, you won't. No, you won't. And I'll say this again. If you're confident, if you're really confident, you guys really confident, I'm targeting a specific group of people. If you're confident in what you believe that is correct, then we can have a discussion. And I'm going at two individuals. We can have a discussion. But don't use excuses saying the Most High told you to be secret. If you can put my picture on your channel If you could do a video with my picture on your channel, guess what? You can show your face on any channel, just like many of us that are laboring right now. I'll rest right there. I'm not going to talk about this anymore. I talked about it long enough. I want to leave it alone and put it on your plate. Family, with that being said, I appreciate your love and support. You guys, this is the full presentation. I've been consistent from the beginning since I've been teaching this. I've been teaching this for quite some time. All right. So I really appreciate you guys for the love and support. I'll just say this. Go, Stephen, Patrick, I'm not going to go back anymore in the lesson. I covered a number of passages in Jeremiah. Let me see what you're referring to. Yeah, actually, I think you're referring to Jeremiah 15. And this is an answer to Jeremiah 15. Let me just, for the sake of, since you're here, wait right here. I'm gonna do this. Normally, I don't double back. I'm going to do this before I go to bed. Let's put up Jeremiah. And I believe you're referring to 15, not 16, but let's go here. Jeremiah 16. And you put, let's go here. Oh, yeah. So when you read here, now I was done with 15. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, or Yahweh, that it shall be no more said, Yahweh, the Lord liveth, that brought up the children out of the land of Egypt, right? Look at here. But the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, from the lands of the east. So I already covered this, right? There's two phases when you look at this here. Right, as you go back over the lesson, I encourage you to go back over the lesson that Israel had already gone back multiple times into Egypt, right? And so we already know Israel is reminded from the very first time that they were brought out of Egypt. We even see the reminder of going back into Egypt in ships when we read Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68, right? But I literally gave a full lesson, just giving you proper clarity when we start dealing with Egypt, right? So the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. So this right here is dealing with, if you really pay attention to this is not dealing with, during this time they're in the Babylonian captivity. Now this is actually making reference to the initial, you could easily say that this is making reference to the initial Egypt, because it said the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, right? But if we go to the fullness of this, if we want to do it in the fullness, let's make sure we get it proper clarity. Therefore will I cast you out of this land into a land that ye know is not, neither ye nor your fathers shall ye serve other gods day and night. Now, guess what? This is Babylon. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord. Yeah, we put this in this proper context. I'm reading in the full context. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that it shall be no more said, the Lord liveth, that brought the children up out of the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. So this is referring to, is still tying into the previous chapter 15 right here. This is dealing with Babylon. Therefore, will I cast you of this land into the land that ye know is not, right? This is I'm sorry, I thought I had my screens full. Let me stretch this out. My apologies. Right? So this is dealing with the Babylonian captivity. This land that you knew not, that's the same that we just covered in chapter 15. Therefore will I cast you out of this land into the land that ye know not, neither ye nor your fathers, and there shall ye serve other gods day and night, where I will not show you favor. So this is Babylon. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that it shall be no more said that the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. So this is referring to the original Egypt right here. But the key right here is this right here. Them going into captivity to a place that they never knew. So when I go over here to Jeremiah 29, this confirms it. I just read from here. I'm just going back over here. Look at this. This is the land that they never knew. This is the key right here. To all the people whom Nebuchadnezzar had carried away from Jerusalem to Babylon, right? And then it goes down. Look at what it says. Tell them what to do in Babylon. This strange country, it tells them to do this. Thus saith Yahweh, as you see here, build ye houses, dwell in them, plant gardens, eat the fruit of them. Take ye wives, begat sons, daughters, take wives of your sons. So this is that land. That's the verse that I really want to hone in on. This verse right here, that's really the verse we need to hone in on. This Babylon is the territory that they were taken to, and you could go to Daniel chapter 1, and it confirms this as well. So with that being said, I really appreciate the question. Since I already had this up and I was already covering this, but actually I was focusing on chapter 15. This still answered the same question. I can still answer it with chapter 29 to give you proper clarity. So I hope that helps. Appreciate the love and support. Thank you, everyone, tonight. I got to get off of here. I went longer than what I wanted to. Really appreciate the love and support. A little tired here, but again, family, it is what it is. Let's go deeper in our studies and just keep it simple. With that being said, family, I'm just going to call it a night, and I'm just going to prepare for the Shabbat. Have a great Shabbat, and I want to say Shabbat Shalom to some. To most here, and I know others may say Shabbat Shalom. I'm just going to say peace and blessings to you guys. And then in the words of the Most High, when Israel wanted to go back to Egypt, as we saw the pattern in this lesson, wanted to go back to Egypt. So the Most High had to encourage them by way of Moses in Exodus chapter 13, verse 13 and 14. Exodus chapter 14, verse 13 to 14 said, fear ye not, stand still, see the salvation of Yahweh. These Egyptians that you see here today, they will never have power over you ever again. The Most High will fight for you, but you have to hold your peace. Can't go back, can't stay here. Keep moving forward. Shalom.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14, verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was black. Abraham, born in the city of a black man, called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10.